Oh, all right.
We should be live now. Sorry for the little bit of a delay.
There he is.
I hear you.
Let's make sure we got all of our mics on and nothing muted.
Volume down a little bit.
Oh, whoa! Move your headphones, dog.
Yeah, you can't put them right next to the.
Well, Robo-Cole. Listen to all this feedback. This is amateur hour.
This is. Hey,
This is novice amateur podcasting right now.
And super loud, too.
so if we could get their volumes of their headsets down.
Yeah, it's probably just. Whoa, mine's disappeared. Yeah. You can move it up more than that.
So this
More
is
than
what we
that.
do before we go
More than that.
live.
Yeah. Okay,
More than
I'm
that.
good.
But now you're getting it
More
live.
than that. Can you give me a little more Danny Palm, please? Thank you, sir. That's
Were you
good.
saying you want a little more Danny Palm?
A little more Danny
A little
Palm.
more okay,
Everyone
nice.
wants
Yeah.
hello,
in my
people.
life.
Dude, after Sprawl in the Burgh, we sold 2 Hello People shirts online. Did you guys see that?
No.
I swear to God.
That's
2
awesome.
people bought Hello People shirts after Sprawl in the Burgh.
Danny, can you
It was
take
awesome.
mine down a little bit? Nice.
Jimothy.
Can
There
you
we
give
go.
me some decibels?
He needs more.
He needs
Couple
He
more.
got no snare in his
All
headphones.
right, we're in some good shape now.
Are we all good now?
I think so.
Folks, welcome to the Wrap Up Podcast.
I think I need to move
This we had Sprawl in the Burgh on Friday night and Brawl in the Burgh 17 on Saturday night. Needless to say, it's been a very exhausting weekend for the crew here at 247 Fighting Championships. Dylan Cole, he's actually a pit student. He's seating. I'll learn how to
over
talk.
here.
He's in the
Or whatever.
studio.
He's 20. How old are you?
22.
22 years old, and he could not like when we got in here today, he could not express to me how exhausted he was.
Oh,
You're
you poor
22
soul.
years old, kid.
You poor
I'm
kid.
getting old. What do you want from me?
Yeah, I'm ready for another fight night. Let's
Wow.
go.
We worked Dylan to
September
death.
9th, I should recover by then.
Poor Dylan.
Oh, you had to watch.
I'll say they took care of me though. Homestead got me a mocha.
There we go.
We're
Yeah.
in good shape. We're ready to go. I mean, I'm tired, but we're still up here. We're still doing podcasts.
Hey,
and-
I'm proud of you, man. You made it here on time.
Did you bring in your blankie?
no, but I wish I did.
Yeah. I understand.
After a weekend like this, there are a tremendous amount of shout outs we need to give to people. First and foremost, I want to thank Pat Johnston.
Nice.
Pat, he gave us 4 of
Cheers.
these
We brought 2.
that are 2 of them are here. The 2 people that are awesome, and then there's me and Jim too. But he made these for us, and they're absolutely phenomenal. Pittsburgh Combat Sports Podcast.
Yeah.
What are these called?
Sick.
Tumblers.
Tumblers. I was gonna call them mugs, but they're not mugs.
No, yeah, tumblers. I used mine at weigh-ins right after he gave it to me. He's like, "You're definitely gonna want to wash that first." And I said, "I'm good. Just pour it propane."
I didn't watch
We're
this
good.
either.
Nah, we're good.
Hey Pat, if there's anything like real bad in there, if we keel over during the podcast, at least it'll make for a good.
what
We'll
it
get
is.
lots of views.
For sure.
Hey, Ryan died on the podcast. You should go check it out.
That would have been good.
Good way to go out, huh?
Well, you're
Danny's
flirting
on
with
it
death
today.
lately.
Oh yeah. After last night, I was definitely flirting with. I mean, I was telling people after the show, like, I'm just happy that I didn't get knocked out.
Yeah.
Like,
That was a
could've-
very real possibility.
So we had our first like
We're just jumping
major
right into
incident.
this.
Major incident. There was so I'm sitting at my normal spot at cage side, and there's a slight bit of like noise going on, and then all of a sudden I see Luke Payson, and he's like, Ryan, come here. And I had no idea why this was happening. So I jump up and I start running, and I see like melee happening in the stands. And so I run over, and it's this. So there were a fight team that was on the card that were kind of starting like verbal altercations throughout the whole process. And not a big deal. You know, we could hype fights. But after his fight, it became an issue. And so there was all kind of stuff going on. And these guys this whole team of people. We had to like usher them out, and there were a bunch of people that like they had antagonized that were like, it was like a mob. It was like crazy, and I was in between all of them, and the security was nowhere to be found. And like we have hired security, like uniformed security officers, and they were not to be found.
Look at
You
us
were in the
four.
middle of danger.
Yeah. Do you think us four are equipped to handle some chaos? Like,
Pat Johnson helped.
Yeah, Pat
Speaking
Johnson
of
was
Pat,
out there. He was
Our
literally
plan almost worked,
outside
fellas.
Yeah,
keeping these guys. But I was literally in the middle of it, and I was basically like, just go. Get like, and I could have very easily got knocked out. They were
sure.
going at it.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it was exactly as you described. These things happen in MMA.
So yeah,
They
no
never happened to us before.
punches were actually thrown last night.
No, nobody actually got
Yeah.
hit.
there were some.
No punches. Nothing
I
landed.
was in the
Nothing
middle of,
landed.
Yeah.
Nothing landed.
Yeah, there were punches thrown for sure. Like I will tell you 100% there were punches thrown. Were any of the, did anyone get like hit hard or anything like that? No, but there was 100% punches thrown. But we like, yeah, I think we handled it like
We handled it as well as you could handle that, I think. I mean, in fairness, too, it wasn't just the one team.
Oh no,
caught like
absolutely
that,
not.
but- yeah.
But what I'm saying is, they antagonized a lot
sure.
of people.
So you had a group here and a group there that did not want to back down from each other, and then it escalated,
Yep.
and that was that. Yeah.
Yep. So that was fun.
Well, I think we should really like take some time here and make a serious statement. Like, you know, we're not going to tolerate that. Like, that's unacceptable to have at our shows. We're family-friendly shows. We want to have fun for everyone, and we understand. You know, it's a game. It's you know, it's part of the game. It's trash talk and getting in each other's heads, but this cannot happen under any circumstance.
Yeah, 100% with what you said, especially about the family friendly show, because once that had died down, there was a father and a young son that were walking out. He was the son was probably 6-7 years old, and he was in tears. And I was talking to the father, and I said, you know, like, this is not 247. This is not what we're about. We don't want you to leave with a bad taste in your mouth. You know, so like, this is not going to happen again. October 21st, you won't see this.
Yeah, and you know, we had Gray Maynard, we had Mando, we had some names watching our show, and this is what they had to experience. This is what they saw, and you know, we got to speak to them. They had a wonderful time. They were so you know, grateful to be a part of what we do, and obviously we were super excited to have them. But that's not what we want to associate our brand with. Not at all. We're building something special here in Pittsburgh, and we want to include everyone in a positive way.
Look at Dylan go. He's just killing it.
He is. Look at
The
him.
diplomat.
He is. You need to
Man.
put that suit on you wore to the casino one time when you look like a senator. When you make that speech.
I tried to overdress. I tried to dress over Jim, and it didn't work because he always looks too damn dapper.
Jim is the dapper Jimothy on fight night for
Jimothy.
sure.
Yeah, I took it back to the 70s last night with my page.
I like
Yeah.
that. I did like that
the
one.
flared collar.
So one other thing I wanted to briefly touch on before we really get into the action and the fights. When we do these events, there's a lot of things that occur and a lot of things that take place, and there's a lot of relationships that have been built along the way, and like there are a lot of people that like we are very thankful for. There are a lot of people that you know, have been a part of helping us to get to where we're at. And one thing I wanted to just give a quick little story on. I met Mike Wilkins about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and we've been friends ever since. And I've always admired Mike Wilkins. Mike is a guy that, like, when he was fighting, he had the talent and the skill and the passion and the determination and the heart to be at the highest level. And Mike, because of injuries, he never reached that. And one of the things that like is so difficult for fighters that are like at that level is like when you're at that level and you don't reach that peak, it's really hard to like move on from that. That's a real like that's difficult. And one of the things that I respect so much about Mike is that he struggled through that. And I look at him now, and he has become such, like, he's an amazing coach, like, amazing. And that's hard. That's such a hard transition to do. And I just admire how he has become this great mentor and coach to so many guys. And last night, we were talking, and he said to me, like, about the weekend, he was like, it was such an honor for me to be a part of this weekend. And there could be nothing further from the truth. It was such an honor for us to have you as a part of this weekend. Yeah. And so the guys at the fighters at Stout, I don't know if you realize how lucky you are to have a guy like Mike. But Mike Wilkins is like, he is, you know, Pittsburgh MMA. He is like, just like Isaac, and he a part of the Yinzer Scrap Pack back in the day. Like, dude, I just want to give a huge shout out. Like, you guys at Stout, realize how lucky you are with the team you guys have, and have Mike Wilkins that's pouring into you guys. Mad respect. Thank you, Mike.
I forget the final record for Stout over the weekend between the two events, but Mike was talking about it backstage. Something like 11-3 with 7 or 8 finishes across Sprawl and Brawl. I mean, that says it all. That's all coaching right there.
It just meant the world to me. Like, it meant so much to me for him to say, like, it was an honor for me to be a part of these events. Like, dude, like, that meant a lot. And the honor is all ours.
Yeah.
Even if they went 3-11 the other way, that would not take anything away from it. Sure. And that's just testimony to how they, like, if they, take a step back, it's not going to derail them.
Absolutely.
They're going to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
But they're generally not going to have a 3-11 weekend.
What were they last year when they were in the Gym of the Year running?
They were undefeated
for a while, yeah.
For most of it.
And then Indio got one on them.
Yeah. And then Indio actually ended up undefeated last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Weren't
final
they
card of the
8-0,
season.
9-0 or something?
Yeah.
It was undefeated
9-0
versus
or something
undefeated.
like
Yeah.
So speaking of these standout Stout guys, if you had to pick a single performance from a fighter, who do you think stands out the most? There's one that clearly is sticking in my head.
For just Stout, you mean?
Just for Stout. We'll start with Stout, and then we could talk about some other things too.
I can't say anyone else but Lucas Siebert.
Yeah, it has
Lucas
to be.
Siebert, that's the answer.
I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I thought Lucas Siebert was going to have his hands full. I thought, like, this was the first, like, real elite level competition he's had, and I thought it was going to be a rough night for him.
Flying colors from
Dude,
Lucas Siebert. He looked so calm, so poised. Like, so we were kind of discussing things. We were saying, Cam has all this experience, but Lucas could catch him. Like, he could get him in something. He could find a quick submission on the ground. He could knock him out. For him to go out there and control the pace, to really set the tone for that fight against Cam Allgaier, almost lands at will on the feet. He found his range so fast. It was an A-plus performance. Lucas Siebert has truly arrived here.
After the first round, it was his fight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, he said he was like, this is what we're doing, and he's playful in there, and he'll taunt you, and he'll, like, he's everything that, like, makes it exciting. Like, you're gonna hate him or you're gonna love him. Like, with Lucas Siebert, like, that's a good thing from the marketing perspective. Like,
yeah. Can't emphasize enough how good Cam is. Like,
he's so good.
He's so freaking talented, and for Lucas to do what he did against them, and like Ryan said, we have discussions with so many coaches, fighters, everybody, fans. Cam was a pretty heavy favorite in that fight among just discussions, and with his resume, with his experience, with how good he looked against Hunter Starner, who has proven to be a really elite professional fighter as well. So that loss is like, it's a loss, but it's a really good guy to lose to. And you look at Lucas's resume up to that point, nobody really stood out that he beat. Like, you look at it, 4-0 is awesome, good wins, impressive in those wins, but against who? That's always the question in amateur MMA. I had a feeling that Lucas needed somebody to unlock his next level.
To push him.
Exactly. The only reason that he didn't maybe show what you thought he could be is because he didn't have to.
Yeah.
He had to against Cam, and that's what we saw.
Well, when he rolled and Cam stayed with him, I was like, okay, this is different now. Like, but as the fight wore on, he totally took control and really impressed me.
Now the question is, how good is Lucas Siebert exactly? How much is he going to grow from that? Because the difference between Lucas at Brawl and whatever his second fight with us was, 14, I think, to now, way improved.
Yeah,
and that's a couple months.
I could not agree more.
If he keeps improving in those leaps, there's something special there for sure. I want to see. I'm just going to say it on the live podcast. I want him to go to 135 and challenge Jake Wiggins for the title, champ.
So that's already in the works. We're just waiting on Harbaugh.
That's awesome.
Wilkins has already accepted.
Awesome.
Can we say that on the podcast?
Why not?
All right, so-
Today's that day.
Yeah, this is the day.
We're gonna do that.
This is where we air everything out.
Yeah.
Dirty laundry. Here it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's sick. I didn't even know that.
I guess
That's
I better
amazing.
get to work on some videos now for that.
Well, let's wait until it's signed before you put sweat equity into it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to add something about what you said, Hunter, and that Cam was a heavy favorite. So if we qualify that statement a little bit, it's not taking anything away from Lucas, because what you said, had he really been tested, and he actually came on our podcast and he said he knows what his record looks like, and it's not that he was knocking his opponents, because you can only fight, we say it all the time, who's in front of you. So I talked with Luke Payson prior to the fights last night, and this his nickname came up, the Sniper. Mm-hmm. And I said, like, he's never needed to use that. And Luke was saying how, like, that's not something we've really seen, because he's a wrestler, a grappler. That's what he's shown. And I said that he needs the right opponent for that to come out, and that's what we saw last night.
Yeah, his plan couldn't have come together more perfectly. We know they declined fights against lesser records because Lucas wanted a guy. He was tired of people saying you haven't beat anybody and who did you beat? You're overrated and everything. He's like, give me the 6-1 guy that's the best in PA. Give me that then, and I'll fight him.
Yep.
So,
And he looked big at 145.
he does look good at 145.
You're right, yeah.
For sure.
So Jess Elizabeth clarified that Sprawl was 7-2 with 5 subs. Brawl was 4-1 with, I think, 2 stoppages.
So 11-3.
11-3.
So if you guys are watching, and you want to comment, I am going to monitor the comments.
Nice. I'm on the Facebook stream too, so if you're on Facebook, comment there. Nobody,
I
is
didn't know
anybody
you were
watching
on both.
YouTube? StreamYard, brother. We got it now.
So we're doing the multiple. Yeah, that's great.
Sweet. Yeah.
Sounds good. We just did the month to start, and then we're gonna see about. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, let us know how it looks and sounds, guys, because this is a little new presentation for us. We got it dialed in when it's just on 247 Live, but pushing it to Facebook and YouTube as well requires a little extra doing. But yeah, I think we're good. Lucas Siebert last night for sure. You're talking about the most impressive stout. I want to ask you guys.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. No, you go.
I'm changing it up a little bit.
I was gonna try to steer us back to Sprawl and start to go back to where the first the first event of the
Kind of where I was going.
Yeah,
It's up for interpretation.
Ryan had a plan, Hunter. Come on.
Yeah, of course. Ryan always has a plan.
There's a plan.
The coolest moment of the entire weekend that I know I texted you guys as it happened, when Isaac entered the cage with Gray Maynard, and that place was just going bananas.
Dude, it was going nuts.
And it started, and they were locked up, and I just texted you guys. I'm like, Isaac Greeley is in our cage grappling Gray Maynard right now.
Yeah, this is real. Pinch me, wake me up.
That was a really special moment to see, because how often have we seen Isaac and worked with Isaac, but to see him compete and get in that zone and have that support, and just against Gray, who looks like he's built like he's 25 still. Like, Gray Maynard was a beast, and the match was super fun. It was like, that couldn't have gone better. It
was awesome. I mean, it could have gone better if Isaac would have edged the win out. give the hometown crowd the like explosion that would have only happened with a Isaac Greeley announcement.
Yeah, for sure.
That would have been the hometown feel, like, but the right decision was made. Like, I do think that if it was an 8-minute match or a 10-minute match, I think it started to turn for Isaac's way. You know, 4 or so minutes into the bout, and I think if it keeps going, I think Isaac comes out the victor.
Yeah, the stuff I love after everything, we left. We're in Monroeville, like no restaurants stay open. I always want to eat after
So
the shows,
weird.
and there's like nothing open. But there is
Fridays.
there is a place called Carl's. There's a place called Carl's, a little dive bar that I actually really like. When we used to live near Monroeville, and we would go there all the time. And it stays open until like 2, but they always have like a DJ and weird like loud music. Like I want to just chill out and not hear loud. Anyway, Carl's work on that. But we went to Carl's, and Isaac and Gray were having beers and chatting, just enjoying it. Like, I love stuff like that. Man, that's stuff I live for. Like, go compete and then be homies afterwards and like appreciate it.
On the broadcast yesterday, because we obviously don't get to hear the broadcast, but I was able to kind of get a little snippet of Gray's. Gray came and joined color commentary last night for a couple fights.
Yeah.
And he
Gray
said,
could play-by-play.
Dylan, dude.
Dylan. But Gray said that he's actually going to the Mat Factory today.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they're going to do like Sunday
awesome.
Mat Factory.
Oh, my God.
He was there this morning.
Yeah, so he was there this morning. Yeah.
Dude. Oh, man. That's so cool.
And you want to talk about, I mean, obviously Gray, not from around here, but to not look up to Gray Maynard and the accomplishments he's had throughout his legendary MMA career would be foolish. And I think, you know, even though Isaac had the hometown love and the respect of the Pittsburgh crowd, everyone knows Gray Maynard. Everyone loves Gray Maynard as well.
Yeah.
See, I kind of felt like a good bit of the crowd didn't really know who Gray was.
That's outrageous. Come on, you think?
I wasn't asking people or anything.
I mean,
I don't know.
I felt like even like when they announced his name, I just felt like there would, if they all knew who he was, there would have been more like of applause.
Well, I think the crowd was just overwhelmingly wanting Isaac to win.
I agree
I-
more with
yeah.
Hunter's side. I think, you know, if you really want to see your coach, your role model, it's somewhat uncomfortable to cheer for both. But
Yeah.
everyone has layers and layers of respect.
I
for
think you're both
gentlemen.
wrong and you're both dumb.
Well,
There is that.
We're not
that is
disputing
accurate,
that
for
part.
sure. The reception of Gray backstage with all the athletes, I saw so many people getting pictures with him and stuff. There's no doubt people knew and respected and were excited about it.
I'm just saying the grappling community was the audience there, and I just think that there were a lot less people that knew him on Friday night than would have known him had he been announced on
Probably.
Saturday night.
Yeah.
And that's the differentiate.
Let's talk about that, because this is something that my friends that were there said it. I heard a lot of people talking about this. The vibe of the arena for each show is totally different.
100%.
The grappling crowd is like an old school Pride crowd in Japan, where they're like just laser focused. They're quiet. They cheer at exactly the right moments. A very educated crowd. Versus Saturday, where it's like, let's get drunk and watch people punch each other. Which they did.
Yeah, for sure.
I love both of them. Can we say that? We love both of those energies.
Yeah. I'm here for both of it. Both of it? Both of them.
Let's go with both of it.
Both of it.
Both of them.
Jan Bothowitz. The vibe there for Sprawl was really cool. It was nice to see that the overwhelming majority of that crowd clearly trained or was in the gym. They were there for a reason, and the crowd was huge, guys. Like we were worried when we booked Sprawl in the Burgh. Like, are people actually going to show up to this? Are they going to treat it like a regular BJJ tournament on the weekend, or how's this going to go?
Yeah, the one thing that I loved about that is what we've grown accustomed to seeing with the MMA events. Is we start off with novice, and a lot of times it's debuts or own ones, 1-0s, and then that card just builds until we get to the pros, and you can see The difference is,
maturation of
yeah,
the-
it
the
is
skill
it's
level.
incredible. And we saw that we started out with youth, and I thought the youth matches we had for
We're
Sprawl
high level.
yeah, it's
Very high
crazy.
level.
Yeah.
High level, exactly. And it just kept building and building. And when we got to Max Hansen and Richard Roby, and those two are at different belt levels. There was a point in that match where I could see the difference. And this is not taking anything away from Roby because he's super talented. And that's when I realized, like, we got to do this as often as possible to get this kind of talent
Yeah.
in our cage. And that's the other thing. They wanted to, like, Rennie Salsa.
Yeah.
He said that he has never, he's reffed. He thinks it's like close to, 5,000 matches. He's never done it in a cage before, and he was super excited to do that. And PJ said that he had done it one other time.
Yeah.
And he loved it. So, like, across the board, this was a novelty for everybody, including us.
Yeah.
And I think it was a smashing success.
Couldn't agree more. The no resets, the cage work, there's elements that the cage brings that is pretty unique for us for what we're doing. Obviously, Submission Underground does it as well. Chael Sonnen's promotion does it. But, I mean, there's not a lot of cage grappling going on. Cage grappling super fights. So, yeah, definitely. That was a very distinct difference. I like that you pointed out Roby versus Hansen as well, because that was one of 2 10-minute matches of the night, and it ended late in that 10 minutes. And Roby...
With 2 seconds left.
Yeah, yeah.
2 seconds.
I didn't realize it was that late. That's hilarious. Poor Roby. But I was talking to Roby afterwards. He was like, bro, I was good for 6 minutes, and then I was gassed. He's like, I wish that was a 6-minute match.
Who was the one that was like saying to me during their bout, Max and Roby?
That was me.
Oh, yeah. Roby and Max.
That's awesome.
Oops.
We got Drew Flincham in the comments saying, amazing show, boys. Much love. Looking forward to fighting for you.
Thanks, Drew.
Yeah, dude. Drew was awesome. I loved having him. He fought Drew Landefeld in the Drew versus Drew match.
Yeah, now and Drew Landefeld won, so Drew Flincham has to change his name.
That's true. Well, yeah, Drew.
Drew, you
it
shouldn't
still
even.
says Drew
yeah,
Flincham,
what are you
though.
doing?
What the heck?
You
gotta
lost
change
that.
We
name.
only match Drews and Logans, so somebody's
That's
got
true.
something's got to
Yes.
give there.
We also got Steve Palambine in the comments saying teen grappling is the best, and he may be a little biased on that front.
Just a little bit. I mean, for the next 4 years, it is, right?
Yeah, his son Jaden picked up a big win against Dude, I was super impressed with Leighton as well, because he doesn't have the background that Jaden is a very accomplished teen grappler. He's competed literally over 100 times and has a crazily winning record. I forget exactly what it is.
It's way over 100 times. It's like hundreds of times. Yeah.
His official that Steve submitted record was like, I'm making up numbers. It was like 110 though. It was like that kind of split. Crazy accomplished. And Leighton was giving him hell there, dude. Very powerful, very top pressure heavy. Exactly what I would expect from Charlie Gather's son, to be honest. Just get in there and get dirty. Yeah, man, I was super impressed with both those kids.
Yeah.
Young men, excuse me. They could both choke me.
When I was watching, it
So
was
could your wife, but who's counting?
one thing I took away from it was like just being someone that's so accustomed to MMA. Like that's what I grew up watching as, an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, all the way through now. Like
All the way, like all
the
4
way.
years since then.
But like I was able to follow along with most of the matches on Sprawl. Like I could see like, okay, he's working half guard, like he's gonna try and pass here. Like, I could see kind of what they're going towards. Once it got to that like extremely high black
too
belt
fast
level, I'm
for
like,
you,
dude,
yeah.
what is going on? Like they're pretzels.
Dude,
Well,
PJ
like,
and
I have
Dante.
no clue.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, dude, how are Luke and Ryan on commentary? Like, are they able to like kind of decipher what's going on here? Or are they just like, okay, so they're working really fast here? I was
I wouldn't
talking
have
to
been
them
able
after.
to.
They said they did some good research and they were able to kind of call it. But
Nice.
it was higher level than me. Like,
So they were able to do play-by-play? Luke was?
they were able to.
Oh, Luke
commentate.
Payson was flying high.
he was
He
loving
had to
it.
be loving life for that.
Dude, he texted me this morning. He's like, "Oh, I can't. Like, thank you. I love you." I was like, "Dude, chill out."
Got
Nah, just kidding.
yeah. No,
We love you
Keep
too,
being
Luke.
you, Luke. Tyler Van Tassel in the comments saying Fink shut him up. So I guess we got to talk about Logan Fink. He absolutely shut him up. Drew Landefeld had a really nice crowd there, a lot of hype. They were hyped for that rematch. Logan Fink beat Landefeld the first time with literally 1 second left in the fight, and Landefeld wanted it back. And first round for sure went to Landefeld. Second round, tables turn. Logan Fink is a dog, man. He's super tough. He just hung in there, weathered the storm, and broke Drew down. Got the rear naked choke finish. So that, I mean, super.
How did
sick
we
fight.
go from Sprawl to Brawl?
Because there's a comment, and when people comment,
okay.
I want to acknowledge them.
All right. Well, okay.
That makes
These
sense
good
to me.
people are paying attention, Ryan. You need to reward them.
That was
Yeah,
a
dude.
great bout. We had the
It was.
opportunity. I spoke to Drew briefly after the fight. Just gave him props. How much he's grown since we first saw him in the cage.
For sure.
And it's it's a tough test, and it's good to get these tough tests out of the way in amateur. That's how you become a better fighter. You weather that storm. You feel what levels to this game feel like, and then you grow, and then you get better. And when he's ready to come back, we know he's going to look better. Despite looking possibly at his best in the first round that we saw him in this night. And
For sure.
So let me just say this real
Yep.
quick, since we're talking about Logan Fink, and I may tear up a little bit, so I'm actually ready. But my wife told me I'm getting ready, so let me just okay. This was with Logan Fink and his fan base. One of them was his grandfather, and Jen, my wife, was in the crowd and behind him. And she said she had never seen a moment and there probably were, but this is what she witnessed, how he was super, super excited. And that was the proudest moment of his life, to see his grandson's hand get raised in the cage. And he was going crazy. And she said, it was definitely a hallmark moment. And
That's so cool.
yeah, she wouldn't admit if she cried, and I don't think you can
Those
cry.
are those are
in
the
MMA.
moments. Like
There's no
knowing,
crying in baseball.
knowing
There's no
that
crying
like
in MMA.
knowing that we put on a show that matters to people so much, and that we have they have an opportunity, and we're just doing our thing, and it means a lot to people. And so the fact that we can be a part of that is really an honor and really cool.
Yeah. You can't overstate that point. I mean, it was extremely obvious at Sprawl in the Burgh, because for a grappling event, I mean, there's no way to not sound arrogant with saying it, but that was a huge grappling event. We heard it from PJ and Dante and Gray Maynard. They were all like we had no idea it was going to be like this.
Yeah,
They
neither
were
did
not-
we.
Yes, neither did we.
And
But-
so there was there was a point where we saw
Sure,
this thing's
sure.
going crazy.
But we heard from so many people. They're like, dude, you have a top 5 grappling show in the nation, right now, right off the bat. If this is what you guys are going to do, this is going to work. And we saw that crowd, and it was insane. So, yeah, to be a part of something like that and hear that feedback from those guys who have literally competed all over the world and seen it all, yeah, it felt good. And it feels good because it doesn't happen without the support of the local community. It's not like we did that. You guys showed up. You guys bought tickets, supported it, promoted the fights. And, we put it on, and obviously we put in a ton of work to make it happen, for sure. But without everybody buying in, it doesn't work like that. And you all did. So thank you.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I talked to Dante for a good bit after the show, and I was just super encouraged. He was saying guys, he was like, you need to do this all the time. And I was like, yeah, well, I don't really want to take it on the road. He's like, you don't need to, stay here.
Wow.
And he was like, what you're doing is elite. And I was like, wow, that
Yeah.
for here's the thing. I know that the guys around here are really, really awesome, but they live here. For a guy that he's traveling all the time, he's going to different places, he's going to different shows. For him to say that, it meant a lot. It meant guys, we're doing something good. That's awesome. It was just huge.
Insane props from guys like that, for
it's
sure.
that
So-
old Field of Dreams mentality. If you build it, they will come. And you know, we're working our tails off. We're trying to build something special, and to have that recognition, to have that support, that people are indeed coming and they're excited about what we're doing here. It is spectacular.
I thought that was from Married with Children.
It is, yeah. So we're not going to look past October 21st, and I'm not going to reveal it here. But I think Danny and you would recognize, I'm not going to say the name, but we may have a huge name for Sprawl in the Burgh 2 in December. I
Nice.
got information last night, and after the podcast, I'll share it.
I don't know this at all.
secrets.
Jim's got
It's
secrets.
big. It's big. It's
Jimothy's got secrets.
so if it happens,
Okay.
this will be over the top.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm stoked about that. Yeah,
Nice.
I can't wait to hear that.
And
cut,
coming
cut
fr-
the camera. Cut,
Yeah.
mute our mics. Mute our mics and say it now.
We can't say that. We can't say
Don't
it
say the name.
Did you guys
because
hear
I'm
it?
still
Just everybody heard it.
okay.
That was
Mute
fun.
again. Mute again. One more time.
Okay, so if we can get that
Unbelievable.
to come together,
Unbelievable.
that would be ridiculous.
Seriously,
ridiculous. Like, ridiculous.
Do you see the following?
That's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Oh,
I hope you guys
man.
couldn't hear it. If you guys heard it though, you're welcome. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think they
well,
could.
ask-
All of our
ask-
mics
they
were off.
They couldn't.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to catch up on. Let's get back to grappling.
Yeah, there's a ton of comments as well.
Okay, so-
just real quick, I see a lot of comments about Jeff Magan and Nick Nash. We are going to talk about that. I promise. Let's get the grappling.
Here's okay. So one, I want to talk about Jess Elizabeth. She's saying a couple things on. She's commenting a lot. Imagine that with Jess. She said there was the first time in the cage match. She loved it, and it brings a new piece to the strategy that I had to think about, and it was really cool to have something new and different to work on. And then she says team grappling would be fire, which something we should think about, just like putting up records against each other or something like that.
That's like Quintet does that.
Well,
Tag team.
but I don't think we
grappling.
no tag team. And then I don't want to do that. That's too
Danny's
gimmicky.
shaking his
It's
head
too
no.
gimmicky.
So
No.
we're going with Danny's opinion. Yeah.
But then I wanted to add on to that one. So Jess Elizabeth's bout was awesome.
Yeah.
She came in. I thought now, if my memory serves me, now we watched a lot of stuff. What my memory tells me is that it was a rough start for Jess, and it didn't look good. And she came back and then became the dominator and just dominated and won the bout. Awesome job. And she returns the day after.
What a weekend for her.
Yeah.
Oh, Jose. Oh, I won't
She
do that.
sounded
to
a
you.
lot better
That's
than
where
that.
you should mute that mic, Dan.
Is that copyrighted?
Yeah.
She killed it for the Star Spangled Banner. So proud of her, Jess. She did a great job.
We now expect more of you.
YouTube just flagged that audio clip as an audio match for Dying Squirrel. It's like we have found
Why
a
do you
match
have
for
to? Why do you
Dying
have to
Squirrel.
just you guys put so much effort into insulting me?
No,
like,
no,
really,
it flows so
Well, it
smoothly
doesn't
for
take
us.
all that much effort.
No,
let's
yeah.
be honest.
like singing. That's how you're gonna insult me. Like, oh wow, I feel horrible about myself now.
You should.
did it.
You
All right,
should.
so one thing we can give a sneak peek into Sprawl in the Burgh 2 in December. I talked to Jess after her performance Saturday night singing, and she is going to sing the national anthem again for Sprawl in the Burgh while she's grappling.
Oh,
during
mic'd
the
up.
action.
She's gonna
Yes.
have a mic. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's
Yes.
awesome.
She's
Let's
like,
do that. Dude, we should mic up grapplers for real. How hilarious would a mic'd up grappling match
yeah.
be?
Okay, you're
I'm
paying for
doing
the
it.
mics.
I'm doing it. We have lapel mics. Mic them up.
I don't know how well that would
You're
work
not
if
using
people are
those
like,
lapel mics.
it would
on
be-
them.
Little receiver in the rash guard.
take that.
I want who would I most want mic'd up during a
Lucas Siebert.
There's
Lucas
some
Siebert,
yeah,
yeah.
there's some characters that I
Yeah,
would
Lucas
love to.
Siebert needs mics.
Yeah, for sure.
He was definitely talking in the
Oh,
cage.
yeah.
Like, I don't know how far back you could hear it, but like right cage side, he was talking the whole time. I mean, not the whole time, but he was talking. I remember one time he hit Cam and he's like, "That hurt!" Like that hurt. You know, and he was talking, and that's Lucas Siebert. That's the
Yeah.
guy that like he's like if you're on Team Siebert, you're loving that, and if you're not on Team Siebert, you're like, you know,
We say it all the time. You got to be loved or hated. Being indifferent to you is the worst thing a fighter could be.
yep.
Yep.
Well, once again, whether you love him or hate him, you can't deny him anymore.
Yeah.
That has to be stated.
I'm laughing. I'm watching the Facebook stream to monitor the comments, and the closed captioning's on. And every time we say Siebert, I've seen Deceiver for the caption, and I've seen Zebra.
Zebra. Well, there it
That's
is.
funny. Hey, if you guys are watching on YouTube, the best place to watch is, or not on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, the best place to watch is on 247 Live. It's going to be the most clear. It's going to be the best. You can put it on your big screen television. You just download the 247 Live app on your Roku, your iOS, or your,
Apple
you're right
TV.
over there? Apple TV?
Yeah,
You okay?
I'm good.
And but that's literally the best place to watch it because you're gonna have like a high def, all that good stuff. Whereas Facebook, it's not as clear, it doesn't blow up as well, all that good stuff.
For sure. Evan O'Nuffer, while we're talking about Sprawl and the Bird, he wants to know, was my submission the fastest? Asking for a friend. He did heel hook David Gabbig very quickly. I think that was the fastest, right? Had to
Yeah,
be.
I mean, we didn't really have an official
Yeah.
like.
Danny?
It seems like it. We'll run the tape back, Evan, to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that was
think
the
it
fastest
was, yeah.
submission. And I knew it was off the record, but obviously it's over now. Dave had a pretty bad knee injury in the past, so as soon as he got that leg, Dave was like, "There's no,
Yeah, I'm
it's
not
worth it."
tearing this
Yeah,
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not worth it." So that Evan was sick. That was another enlisted 9 guy that came up from Virginia, and he very good. Evan will 100% have you back. dude.
Talented team.
They are
talented.
super talented. Yeah, I'm sick. I'm so sick.
Who's sick?
Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder's sick.
I'm sick of nobody fighting my teammates.
That was so good, man. Jess Elizabeth said, Jim.
Oh, she's jumping over.
Yeah, she's on Facebook now.
Look,
She's-
Jess, you're going the
double
wrong
timing.
way. You're supposed to go to 247 Live, not to Facebook side.
along with Jim's story about Logan Fink's grandfather, she said, "My mom told me earlier this week that her grandmother used to watch women's wrestling back in the day. That was a fun family connection that was definitely in the back of my head this weekend." So she felt some of that
Nice,
family
nice.
pride
Yeah.
carrying it
Shout
on.
out Fabulous Moolah.
Ooh, that is going back.
Fabulous Moolah. Where, dude? What? Who
I don't know.
are you?
I don't know.
Evan said,
You weren't even alive when Fabulous Moolah was around.
dude, for as young as he is, he has some good references. I just
Yeah.
told you that
Wow.
yesterday. I'm
Fabulous
impressed.
Moolah.
I am impressed.
It's probably been 30 years since I heard that name.
I've never heard. I have no idea
Not
what it
since
is.
you heard that
Went
name, it's
right
when-
over my head.
She's grappling in Sprawl.
Okay, bring her back.
Fabulous Moolah versus Jess Elizabeth. Her
Wendy
grandma
Richter.
won't
She's
know who to cheer
bringing the
for.
walker in.
That's good. And then throwing the walker when she gets to the cage and somersaulting in Willy Wonka style.
We already got the
This has
cage
gone
match. We're there.
Out of control.
Absolutely.
Can we go a little further to start doing pro wrestling?
Yeah,
For sure.
we're having a Hell in the Cell bout.
We'll throw down the tax.
Yeah.
Evan said, "David's awesome. You guys are too. Love to compete for y'all again. Coolest event I've ever done." Thanks, man. That obviously means a lot. That's freaking sweet.
We'd love to have you back.
Yeah, and your coach. Talk to Colton. Get Colton Smith up here. So, did we ever say that we tried Colton Smith versus Dempsey before
we
we
said
got
it on the
okay? I
podcast.
couldn't remember if we announced that.
We didn't announce it, but we said it on a previous podcast.
Right. All right. Well, December 15th. I'm just saying.
For those who don't know, Colton Smith, former Ultimate Fighter winner, great UFC career, and would have been an awesome name to have.
For
And
sure.
Tough challenge for Dempsey.
Stud grappler, man. He's really good grappler.
So what you just said, like we are combat sports enthusiasts, but heading into Sprawl and the Burgh and putting that all together really opened up, I think, collectively our eyes to the incredible talent that is out there.
Yeah.
And we saw it Saturday night with how, like, Friday night compared to Saturday night, and the differences in how the crowd appreciates the talent that's inside the cage.
Yeah.
And I'm like all for, like, let's do grappling every weekend if we can.
Well, actually, the funny you mentioned that. You said earlier, like, we need to do grappling as much as possible. I'm happy to announce tomorrow night. No, just kidding.
That's awesome.
Jim Mooney
Dylan Cole
is
and
grappling with
Fabulous
Hunter.
Headlining.
Yes. Charlie Gathers commented and said, I was talking while Mondo was kicking my ass.
I thought he was talking.
That's
okay.
awesome.
Yeah.
Mondo said after the fight that Charlie is strong as SHIT. He's like, I could not believe how strong that dude was.
Were you with me when I was talking to him? Was that, or did you have a separate conversation?
I was
okay, because
just-
I asked
that's
him.
funny.
I said, "How did Charlie feel? Like,
Yeah.
how did he feel?" And he was like, "Dude, that guy is tough. He's
That's
strong."
hilarious. Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, old man strength is real. Way to represent, Charlie."
Represent them old guys.
Well, he came in Friday, like drove in from Johnstown wearing the Spanx, no shirt, walking around the hotel, showing off his physique,
Hilarious.
Spanx, no shirt.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Like I think he was just born in that outfit.
Well, when you look like Charlie Gathers, you're allowed to.
Right.
You do that.
You do
ripped.
Charlie Gathers things.
He never got dressed. At one point, I was like, did you just drive here in this? No shirt and spats? And, like, a part of me was like, maybe he did.
Yeah.
Like Charlie Gathers.
That's within the realm of possibility.
Imagine Charlie Gathers getting gas at get-go and going into pay just wearing spats and no shirt.
Or imagine like he gets in road rage and someone starts going up and they see him and they're like, oop, oop, never mind. Let's get back on the road here.
Charlie's killing me
Yeah,
in the
so-
comments.
That
What did he
is-
say? What did Charlie say?
He said when he locked his hands against the cage, I said, "Here we go," and I went for a ride.
That's awesome.
He did go for a ride. That was a pretty sick slam from Mondo.
I mentioned it to him Friday at weigh-ins for Sprawl, and that as far as I know, that may be the first father-son combo on a card in PA. Definitely for sure for us.
Yeah, good point.
Has there been any others?
That's really neat. That's cool.
That is cool.
Special
I
moment
knew it.
for those guys. I mean, they both didn't get the result. They both went in against much really difficult opponents,
Oh, yeah.
and they both performed really, really well.
Couldn't agree more.
Kudos to them, though, because, you know, Leighton is following in the footsteps of his father. His father would not, just back down because of, like, X or Y, whatever the reason is. Charlie stood up to, competition that was in front of him.
Speaking
at
of
every
won't
chance
back
he got.
down, Isaac Greeley's entrance song, that was pretty sick.
Sick. Great choice.
Yeah.
I was interested.
Johnny Cash cover.
Because as well as we know Isaac, I didn't know his musical taste at all. So when I asked for a walkout song, I was like, how's he going to go with this? Like, what's Isaac going to pick? I was going to guess, like, something in the AC/DC realm.
Okay, so I
yeah.
had no idea either, but
Yeah.
when that song came on, I was like, yeah, that's
It
good.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That one, it made perfect sense. When he sent it over, I was like, yeah, okay. Yep,
I
yep,
said
that's
to you
good.
a while ago that, like, we should have picked it, and then we would have played Smooth Operator for him
Yes.
coming in.
Yes, absolutely.
We should have an event like where we're telling them the promotion picture walkout songs based on, like, if you get your paperwork in on time and all that stuff. Like, that will be your, like, ability to work with us will determine
That-
how awesome of a walkout song you have.
I
If you
like
turn your
that.
paperwork in the last day, you're gonna do some Cyndi Lauper, like.
Oh, Cam Allgaier's coming out to Taylor Swift this last fight, bro.
Elton John's Tiny Dancer. Yeah.
Oh man,
that should be the new spiel.
dude, that's kind of
What-
fun.
that's it.
That's fun.
That-
What's
like,
about your walkout
not
song?
should be. That is it
We
now.
will offer 100 songs per tier, right? So you get, like, the hardcore great walkout songs will be like your top tier. If you have your paperwork in 3 weeks at a time, you're good to go. You get one of those top tier songs or any song of your choice.
Yeah. Pick your song at that tier.
And then below that, like it starts tearing off, and you get your paperwork in late, like you're walking into. Man, I feel like a woman.
That is beautiful.
One thing I thought was great, we saw Chase Boyd. I don't mean to transition here too fast, but Chase Boyd, excellent performance Saturday. But his walkout was "Dreams and Nightmares" by whoever wrote that. I'm not going to think.
MacDonald.
Meek Mill. But so that song is a really long build-up, and he was like taking forever to like kind of get out. So Pat is getting up like, where is this guy? Like he has to come out now. Like he was getting ready to walk over, and then Drew Shannon's in the cage like, boy to the red corner, please, boy to the red corner.
I mean, that's not like they know that he's waiting for it. They don't care. That's the point. Is like, get your butt out here.
Right.
But
ruined his moment a little there.
Yeah, come on.
I think he waited long. Like you don't see that on TV. Like I watched that.
Of course, though, whatever moment that was, completely outshined by dominant, excellent performance there.
Crazy performance from Chase.
We're jumping around. Can we get back to Sprawl? Because I want to talk about Chase, but I feel like we need to like stick with Sprawl and then transition.
Just an FYI, he changed his name Friday at weigh-ins to Chester Boyle.
Chester Boyle.
Chester Boyle. Yeah.
Beautiful.
What other things stood out to you guys from Sprawl that you wanted to discuss?
Teasdale. How about Gavin Teasdale?
Oh, wow.
Comes back. First MMA pro loss to Freddie Rodriguez. Looked a little bit outmatched. I don't want to say outmatched, but just controlled in that bout. Comes back, sets the pace, gets Freddie down, keeps him there. That was his bout that night.
Yeah, he totally controlled the bout. I would have liked to see him like try a couple subs, but he's totally dominant.
We know Gavin can wrestle, man. That never goes away. That dude, he's so good, and Freddie's so good too.
He was relentless.
Yeah. That was a sick match.
Did you guys notice how intently Freddie was into his corner? Mm-hmm. Like he was like on them the whole time, like listening to his corner and really, really like taking their guidance. I thought that was something I had never seen that intentionally before in any of the other bouts. Or that was what I noticed most.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go. This might be a weird pick actually, but we talked about the father-son connection. There were two brothers on the card as well, Sean and Cameron Kyle, and they both got submissions against really good opponents. Cam submitted Chad Forley, and Sean submitted Ken Burrs, and we know what Ken Burrs is all about. So I was very impressed with the Kyle brothers and what they're doing out there. Flood City Jiu-Jitsu, Railroad City Jiu-Jitsu. I think it's Railroad City, right? Jiu-Jitsu, and ATT Happy Valley. So they're all over that kind of more central PA grappling scene, and they're doing great things. I was very impressed with them, start to finish, for sure.
Yeah. Mine that I wanted to like kind of talk about before we get into the top of the card was Jake Lowry and Tanner Hall.
Yes.
Like those two were awesome. Like totally performed.
Dude,
and
seeing Jake back in the cage.
And that was the other thing. Like, and just literally just having, and I talked to him after just having him back in our cage, like, was awesome for me. Like, I just think that, there were some special moments he's had in only his 2 fights with us. But those were moments like during COVID and like we're getting crowds back into the arenas and stuff. And those were just like, it was very special moments that he's had in our cage. And he had like the best comeback. I mean, he literally got dominated in a round and got caught early and just dominated and then came back and won. It was a superb bout. So to have him back in our cage just meant a lot. And Tanner Hall was a perfect opponent.
Beast.
Those two were awesome together. They really performed at a high level and just impressed everyone.
Jimothy, what's your pick?
It's hard for me to pick, but I was super impressed by Joey Torres.
Wow.
I was
awesome. Yeah, he was great. He had a tough match. Valco's an absolute dog.
Valco is a beast.
Dude, I had no idea I don't know how I never saw Valco before being a Mat Factory guy, but that was my first time seeing him, working with him for sure. And he's like 5'4". He's way shorter than I because the fight poster we get, you know, you can't tell how tall or whatever. He showed up and he's just a freaking fire plug, man. This dude's like, he's just like, "What's up? I'm here. I'm Valco." I'm like, "What's up?" "Yeah, dude. I don't want to like." I hugged him at Wayne's and he felt like a cinder block. I was like, "What is this guy?
What's it feel like to hug a cinder block?"
Yeah. And he had Joey's neck at one point, and it looked pretty filthy. And Joey's fine. That went to a decision, didn't it? Actually, I think, yeah. So Joey's super tough. Joey was already saying he wants to come back too next time. So that you were awesome to work with, man.
Yeah. I was intrigued by that matchup because I knew a little bit about Joey, but I didn't know anything about Shane other than Mat Factory, that connection, and so you expect. Always, you expect good things out of it,
right?
And it never goes below good. It's usually
exactly
like that's the low
tiers
point.
of excellence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And whenever we announced that, and I saw all the Mat Factory people commenting like, "Let's go Valco," I'm like, okay, if everybody, he's going to be super legit. Like they don't endorse scrubs, like you just said. If you're coming out of the Mat Factory and they think you're ready, you're very ready to compete.
All right.
Pippins, I would have sat down if I knew I was allowed. Do you know what he's talking about?
Oh, yeah. I guess he's like, going for, like going to guard right away.
Oh, you were allowed, right? Why couldn't
he's
he do
saying
that?
he would have if he
taking
had
a
known
seat.
he was allowed.
Oh, he thought he wasn't allowed.
Yeah. And
guess.
you know what? Gabby asked about that. She asked that question.
We
If
had
they-
rules
yeah.
meetings.
Jess asked on the podcast too.
Yeah. We
So
had rules
Danny
meetings,
said, since Danny doesn't have a mic today, that
Oh, yeah,
Jess asked on the podcast as well. But yeah, there's a rules meeting. Guys, gotta speak up at those rules meetings if you're not sure about something or you want to know about something.
Yep. Sorry, Pippins. Dude, the end of that match was
Still
super
a great
fun, by the way.
performance by both guys.
Yeah, it was.
Exciting
That
to
was-
see those two share the cage once again.
Someone said to me, you guys will all love this. Like, everyone's going to love this. Someone said to me, because they saw me kicking people out when that melee happened. And after, I don't remember who it was.
It
Someone
was
said-
me. I thought you kicked Pippins out.
Yeah.
I
So
saw
someone,
it.
Someone said to me, "Did you kick Justin Pippins out?" And I was like, no. Like, that would actually never happen.
Yeah,
He's
I was
like,
shocked.
Yeah, I was like, and I told Justin afterwards, I was like, someone came up to me and asked if I kicked you out of here. And I'm like, no, thank you, please.
He must have just been going outside for a second, and I thought you were kicking him out.
Dude, no.
I was like, there's no way Ryan just kicked Pippins out.
That guy could, like,
That's Pippins
He
and
could-
Ryan.
he
just
can
like,
do whatever he wants. Like,
Yeah.
Justin, whatever you want, bro.
And I would say he has a doppelganger, but he doesn't. Like, I don't mistake Justin Pippins. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't somebody who looked like Justin Pippins. It was him. Yeah,
Bro,
that was
I did that.
ridiculous.
I'm not saying it wasn't him. I was just saying that never happened. Nor would it.
Go ahead.
Well, just we talked about. There's a couple. Any other standout things you guys want to talk about?
Yeah. I gotta shout out Alex Hudick from Stout with his match with Zach Humbertson. He finished with, what did they announce it as? An inverted triangle armbar.
Yeah, I gave that call to Drew.
Whatever you call it.
When I went up to him
Sick.
after that bout, I said, "This is a hard one, inverted triangle armbar," and he wrote it down. So
I'm gonna say that. It sounds great.
Is that real?
Yeah, that's totally
it
real.
is now.
Totally real. I mean, that was a ridiculous performance by Alex, and he had a really good support
Yes,
section.
he
man.
did,
He
yeah.
brought the people, and he told me afterwards. He was like, I had a feeling. I knew I sold a lot of tickets. He's like, but when I got out there and I heard him, he's like, that was really cool. He's like, I was feeling it.
Probably the second loudest, but behind Isaac.
for sure. Yeah, I would say so. Actually, good point.
Yeah, I went up to Stout in Zealy, and I when I met Alex for the first time, and Mike had told me, like, this guy's a stud.
Yeah, he's a purple belt, submitted a brown belt, and that's the thing with no gi. The belts don't matter. Like, at a certain point, like, Ken Burrs was a blue belt, and he hung in there with a brown belt just fine, looked great until he got caught in a triangle. Happens. But I talked to Kyle afterwards too, and he's like, I've rolled with a lot of brown belts and black belts, competed against brown belts and black belts. He's like, Ken's at that level.
Well, if you're a black belt in wrestling, like,
Yes.
you're not a white belt in jiu-jitsu. You're automatically, like,
Yeah.
going to be okay
For sure.
in a lot of instances. You know, you're not going to go up against a black belt, but you're not a white.
Yes, exactly.
So, talking about that, where lower belts will take on the higher belts, and in particular, like a low belt, maybe blue or purple, taking on a black belt. Isaac had told me, in trying to find matches for him, he said Cody Gamble has taken on black belts before, so like we're open to that, and we ended up having a quality opponent for Cody. We finally got Cody back into our cage.
Yeah, that
It
was
had
nice
been a
having
while.
him back,
Yeah.
too. He's so big. He's so big.
He goes what, like 155?
Yeah, dude, he is, like, you mean his arm?
Yeah,
Just his left.
his left arm is
Dude,
155.
he's just a mountain of just a mass of just muscle, like, just unbelievable. Jess said that Hudik said it was a reverse triangle armbar.
You were very close.
Oops.
Hey, good job,
Hey, in the
man.
heat of the moment, you know.
No, that was, I mean, like, I would have never come up with that.
I
Like,
mean,
or anything close to it. I would have
call-
said, like, something where he tapped.
To call the submission he landed simply an armbar is a great disservice to the
Yes.
complexity of that move.
For sure.
And
For
as
sure.
someone who doesn't know jiu-jitsu outside of, I've seen it on TV over the last 10 years, I think I did okay.
No, I think
Yeah.
you did great.
Yeah, dude.
Like, I'm super impressed.
Same.
Get it right next time, though.
Okay.
we expect more of you.
Wilkins texted me and said he's watching on the 247 app. It looks and sounds great. Thanks, Ryan, for the kind words.
Oh, no. Thanks for all you do, dude. Like,
And Tony, my boy Tony from Cincinnati, is driving back to Cincinnati as we speak. He said, I'm listening in the car right now. Thanks for helping me kill this drive.
Dude, one of the coolest things that I think that we get to do is, like, we get the opportunity to build relationships with a lot of people in a lot of areas. And, like, just for instance, one of the, like, relationships that have started fairly recently is our relationship with Tempo MMA.
Yeah.
And Calvin Harbaugh and his wife and the team, and I think they're a fairly smaller gym that's like has a ton of up and coming talent, and like they're really focused, and just the opportunity for us to work with people like them, and people like, there's lots of examples of that, and continue to work with each other. Like, I love that. I love that, like, we get the opportunity to foster these relationships and build and grow with these gyms.
It's really special and funny, because I think back to kind of the first time we met Calvin when he fought Shaka at Bippy 15.
He hated me.
And it was like, he
you remember that?
Oh, yeah,
That
he was
is
upset.
so
You pronounced
odd.
his name wrong. Yeah, how can you hate this
What'd you
guy
call
the
him?
first time you meet him?
What did you say?
I said Harab or something.
I don't know. It was like it was at the
Horrible.
weigh-ins, and I don't know. I like know who like John Harbaugh is, and I don't know why, but I just like sputtered at his name,
It happens.
and so like he thought it was like disrespectful, and I was just like word
Yeah.
mouth vomited.
Well,
or
one
whatever.
thing for sure, if any of our listeners haven't had the opportunity to meet Calvin and his team, he's been coming to more and more shows, getting involved. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, a great leader.
Yeah.
I cannot say enough things about Calvin Harbaugh. We'd love to have him as much as possible.
Well, look at the disciple that he brought in that just wrecked a night for
Yeah.
someone in
Yeah.
a team.
Absolutely.
He absolutely came in and was super impressive. Do we want to hit on any more Sprawl
Just
things?
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah.
Because while we're talking about Calvin, I wanted to shout out Tara competing for
Absolutely.
us. Calvin's wife.
On short notice?
on short notice against a savage. Listen, I'm sure they knew coming in. We knew. The Dante Leone trained young girl, 16-year-old. A lot of grapplers say, if you're matching me against a 16-year-old blue belt and I'm a blue belt, an adult, I know I'm in for a rough night. Like, when you're 16 years old and you have your blue belt, that means you're like a little prodigy. Like, you've been doing this.
Yes, you've probably been sitting at green belt for 4 years.
Yes. Sasha is known as like this next breed of potential superstar female grappler. So for Tara to step up on short notice against her and put in an incredible match. I thought that was one of the most fun matches of the night for me. Great matchup, and yeah, that was sick. But along those lines of building that relationship, the first time we saw Calvin and Tara, you know, they weren't rude at all, but they were very business. They were all business. They were there to take care of business. And now we see them, and it's like fun. They're like excited to see us.
They're our friends now.
Exactly.
The mood has changed. Like they realize they're not coming into enemy territory in the sense of like the promotion.
Right.
Like we're not. We're here to promote everyone. We're not bringing people in to lose. Like that's not who we are. We're bringing them in to have great competition.
Yep.
And that's the difference between, you know, us and a lot of other promotions is, quite frankly, like we want good competition. We want fair and equal bouts.
Well, I am going to segue that into BitB17 and address what the people want, unless you have something else.
How are we not even talking about the main event?
I know. There's so much to talk about.
There's so much to talk about.
Jim called timeout.
He did call time.
I mean, we kind of touched on it. The main thing with the main event for me was those guys. Look at you. Like, if I gotta drink a coffee, I gotta go potty.
The way you said that was ridiculous.
So those two, just the high level that those guys have is so special, and the fact that like they know each other at this stage, like it was kind of like your dance partner, like like you kind of knew, and there were some smiles they gave back to each other, like you're not getting that one on me, like the level that those two are at and the comfortability of just like being on your back with like a super high level black belt on top, like it was just like it was a symphony. It was like a dance. Like it was just so high level.
Stoic. They were both incredibly stoic in their performance. There was no excited making a mistake.
There were no like panics. There were no like
panics.
Oh no, like it was completely, and it was just awesome.
Yeah. Couldn't be more honored to have them compete in our cage. We'd love to have them back anytime. And of course, the flowering words they had for us and our promotion and everything we got to do for them. It's a mutual relationship that was so wonderful.
Yeah, you know, when I think when an athlete gets to that level of not just competitiveness, but that, you know, they develop their talent to literally a world-class elite level. There are so few that can stand next to them that like the respect is automatically there. And there was a moment where I saw I noticed that like PJ was on in the top position over Dante, and they sort of paused at the same time, and PJ's like wiping sweat. And like, you know, Dante
so casual.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Like, you know, you're in the middle of like a very extremely top 10 bout in the world, and you're just like casually like, oh, there's sweat here, like
Right.
And so like, you know, if somebody would be underhanded in that situation and try to take advantage of the break, you know that the opponent would be on top of it, and it would be countered. That like you're not going to be able to sneak something in.
Yeah, it's just they're masters of their craft, and it was a work of art. Like it was just awesome.
One quick shout out I wanted to give to you guys. Didn't see any of this come together, but so shout out absolute stud Carly Joe Thomas, who on short notice, Carly Joe was willing to step in.
She didn't get the call.
It didn't come together. But
the matchmaker didn't call her.
Weigh-ins on Friday night. She was ready to go and step in against a very game opponent who, unfortunately, the bout dropped out for Sprawl. But 4 hours
She's
before,
like, why didn't
she
you
was
guys tell me?
Where do we have clothes? Like, could
Crazy.
I change? Could I drive home and change? Like, absolute shout out.
That's
she's
savage.
ready to rock and roll.
We were going to
Savage.
have her opponent come in out of the crowd
Savage.
for that.
Yeah.
Just stand
Call
up.
her in.
Just stand up out of the crowd and then walk around. That would have been pretty cool. Yeah, that was Ekaterina Petri.
Ekaterina Petri. That's
She was scheduled for Maya Yankello, and Maya unfortunately was going through a bit of an injury and thought she could make it. Got to Thursday and just was like, it's not getting any better. I can't go, which is totally understandable. We have come to expect injuries on fight week for sure, and for grapplers as well. So no big deal. We'll get Maya back in there. We'll get Ekaterina back in there. We'll get Carly Joe in there next time. Let's do it. But yeah, on 1 day notice, a lot of things needed to be shuffled and changed on our end as well. We just couldn't make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not enough time in a
Right.
day for something like that.
Right.
And there was a controversial, well, not controversial. I don't think it was controversial. He thought it was controversial. Ethan Goss
Right,
and Daniel Stupinski.
On that, I did hear a lot of people have told me personally, how did Ethan lose? Like, Ethan totally won. Not just Ethan thinks he won.
I know, I know, and I was not surprised based on knowing the criteria. Like, I wasn't surprised that the decision went against him.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go around the room and see who we thought won. Starting with Danny.
Stupinski.
Danny took Stupinski. I also take Stupinski. Although I don't care what would have happened, I'd have taken Stupinski
Yeah.
against Ethan Goss anyway. No matter what.
Understandable.
Ethan submits
That
him.
little rascal.
I'm like, Stupinski wins.
Yep. I forget who I was sitting with, but I told somebody, I said, if the ref is following the criteria, Sage won that. Mm-hmm. And he did. He picked it. I was surprised. I was surprised though, because Ethan was on top the entire time. We're so accustomed to watching MMA, and like if that was a 1-round MMA fight, which we did kind of say that too, Ethan probably would have won that round in MMA.
Yeah, and that was so I wasn't fully educated, I guess, on the criteria. I had thought Ethan had won, and I thought that bout was so interesting because I think we saw the biggest clash in styles as far as game plans and whatnot. Ethan, extremely experienced in the cage, obviously our pro featherweight champion, came out looking like an MMA grappler, shooting takedowns, trying to maintain top control, looking for guard passes and whatnot. While Stupinski was really, he took that sit down, stay in guard, attack submissions from the bottom approach. And it was this really great juxtaposition of styles between those two. And
It was.
Stupinski came out on top. And what was an impressive performance by both guys.
Yeah, both guys did truly do
Who
awesome.
did you think won?
I thought Goss won. I was going more off MMA criteria, just thinking, well, he maintained that top control.
Yeah.
But clearly, I think now that I'm more educated, I definitely see how Stupinski won.
So was that your official?
That's a paid
or-
education for you. You just
So
feel,
what's
you just
your
feel totally
official call?
inadequate.
What's your official call?
My call
you-
now is that Stupinski won, but as they're announcing the the hands
You were
getting
in
raised,
shock.
I was like that's not what I just my eyes
Yeah.
from the outside of the cage, knowing what I know, saw it go down. But now that I understand more, that makes a lot more sense.
You?
So, like the nice thing about being the last to speak on this is I can say collectively you were all wrong and Ethan won.
Okay, fair.
Thanks, Jim.
Well, here's what
No explanation needed on that one.
The
No,
other
we
one.
just changed the ruling. So Ethan, congratulations.
Yeah.
Good job. I think Ethan is always the winner because he brought us 4 bags of these absolute gems. Middlesworth potato chips, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know the Warth, you better, I don't know.
Okay,
that
so
needs to be a slogan.
I'm not a
You know.
potato chip guy. I'll be the first to say that. I had these barbecue potato chips. They're so good.
They're insane.
They are
If you're
so good.
If you're from Central PA, you already know these babies. These were the school 2nd grade pizza party
Whoa.
classic.
what are
On
we
the
doing
ta-
here?
On the directly
Dude,
on
This
the
guy's
table.
literally an animal, guys.
These aren't greasy.
All right, I mean, I guess if we're
Have
all
you had
doing
the
it.
plain barbecue? These because you've had the kettle cooked, but have you had the ones that aren't kettle cooked?
The
See, I
kettle
came
cooked is king.
prepared.
Kettle cooked is king. Also, shout out Northeast PA, home of Middlesworth as well.
Yes, sir. They got the best. I mean, they really are. I have a Middlesworth hat. Like my wife got me a Middlesworth hat for
Wait,
Christmas one year.
It's Northeast PA?
That's where I live. That's where I get them.
But where are they at?
Middleburg, PA.
Right in the middle.
That sounds like middle, huh?
Sounds pretty
All right,
middle.
One bite chip review.
Oh, you've never had them?
Oh, I've had the Falcon 5.
One chip challenge.
Dude, they're so good. No business being this good. I love Middlesworth. Shout out Middlesworth. All right.
So this is where we transition to MMA?
Yep. We were talking about, that's good. Goss, that's a good transition into MMA. We
Meh.
were talking about what were we talking about? I was going to segue to Nick Nash and Jeff Magan, so I'm just going to say
There
it
it
anyway.
is.
It was
There's
something
the
about
segue.
close decisions.
You were trying to be witty? Is that
I was
what?
trying to be witty, and then it all fell apart like normal. But all right, I'll start from the top with this matchup. I knew that was a very high level matchup. 205ers, first of all, amateur 205 is a pretty thin division. There aren't in this area. There aren't a ton of 205ers, and those two definitely established themselves as elite of that crop. So when we were able to match that, I was super honored, first of all, that Nick Nash and Victory took that fight because he's 5-0. He's a super prospect. He just won Cage Thunder's belt. Very risky for him to fight a 3-1 guy at the level of wrestling and talent that Jeff Magan has from Stout. Very risky fight for them. Coming into Pittsburgh as well. So they knew that, and they accepted it anyway. So awesome. Shout out Victory. That's amazing. Magan, meanwhile, probably would have fought literally anybody that we would get to sign. Like, he just wanted anything because he has a tough time finding matchups. So when we made it, I was like, that's awesome. Like, I was very stoked about that fight. As it played out, we were sitting, that was one of the few that we were actually sitting there watching together, and I said, at the end, I'm like, no idea who won that, dude. And I did say, and I'll say it on air, I said, if I'm a judge, I think Nick Nash won it. Barely. And I said, if Magan wins, it's not a robbery at all. Like, I can totally see it either way. I'm not sure it was that close. I don't know. But, yeah, I did think, like, if I was a judge, Nash had it.
I thought Nash.
Yeah.
I agree. I was leaning Nick Nash on that one.
I pick Nash.
And Jim is here to tell us we are all wrong.
And there you have it. I don't even just need to say it. No, yeah, with you guys all in unison at 4-0 on the decision, I already sent some messages to people involved in that fight, coaches, and so I'll just leave it there, and
Leave
I'll
it at that.
not tell you guys.
Do we know why Magan declined his post-fight interview?
No, I talked to Luke last night. He
He like said no. He
He
Yeah, a
was
couple times.
exhausted, dude.
Really?
He was
just
exhausted.
didn't want. Is that why?
Yeah,
Well,
Could be.
so I got in the cage following that fight to get
to
some
fight
social
him,
media
to
pic-
fight Magan.
Yeah, because I could get him when he's tired like that.
Not a chance.
I don't
bro.
think so.
Not
No.
a chance.
Yeah, he would still crush you.
Yeah, let me just retract that statement really quick because that's foolish. But I got in and Nick Nash, Jeff Magan wandered in front of me. I gave him a fist bump and I said good fight. I gave him a pat and he just keeled over, hands on knees, like recovering because both guys gave 110% in that bout.
Those
No
are
doubt
two
about it.
big old strong boys. Big old boys. You look at those weigh-in pictures; they're built like pros.
See,
Like,
I think those are the fights where you learn, like, slow down. Because those two came out in the first round like a ball of fire. And when your heart rate and you just can't sustain that. And that's why those adrenaline dumps happen. Like,
yeah, when you're that big,
yeah,
Yeah.
and so I think that's the type of fight where you mature. They're both going to mature as a fighter, where they're going to, like, you notice early on, like in the cards, like those guys are going crazy, and then like as you go, like they slow down and like they have more maturity as a fighter. And I think those two are both going to mature greatly from this experience because they put themselves into deep water quickly by like going gung-ho right off the bat.
right? And while we're talking on this theme, the person who said it probably isn't listening, which sucks, but let us put something to rest. We do not assign the judges. Has literally nothing to do with us. That is not our influence. We all just said,
Or the referees.
or the referees, we all just said, I thought personally Nick Nash won by like a 51-49 split. You know, like barely. If I had to pick, if you put a gun to my head and make
And you
me
know
pick.
that's in the moment too. We could go back and watch it. Maybe we'll see
Sure.
something different. But just
yeah.
the way we were that night, we were leaning Nash.
For sure. I saw a comment on Instagram, and this was not for that fight. It was for Caprice Hall and Glenn Christner, I think, which was a majority draw. So first of all, majority draw, right? One guy picked Glenn Christner as the winner. One guy picked Caprice Hall as the winner. The third judge said it was a draw, and Caprice Hall lost a point because he kneed Christner in the head, which is illegal in that rule set. So Caprice lost a point, and then it was a majority draw, which means that judge thought Caprice won. Like, without the point deduction, it was 29-28 Caprice. Point deduction brings it down 28-28. Like, what are you upset about? The guy did something illegal, got penalized for it, and it's a majority draw. That's literally as even of a fight as you could say. Like, how is that bad judging anyway? Despite the fact, you know, like I said, we have nothing to do with the judges at all.
Well, I mean, quite honestly, people have like friend goggles on.
you
and
get
stuff like that.
emotional.
It's real.
I get it. I
It's
get
a
it.
real thing. But
I just
if it was grappling, you can blame us. But even more importantly, you could blame like the black belts that were the like.
Yeah,
we
blame Souza.
blame Ronette. Blame Ronette.
Go blame him. Yeah, good luck with that. We'll see how that works out for you.
People are silly little billies too. I mean,
Silly little Billy.
there's a lot of folks
Talks
that
like
you know they
this.
come to support their friends, but they're not necessarily as educated on
This
the
isn't
sport as we
romper
are.
room.
I don't know what that means, but
For you mentioned the Fabulous Moolah and you don't know Romper Room.
no,
I
like
didn't
no
know.
clue. I have no clue what that means.
It's that
You
era.
also don't know what
I don't
romper
know
room is?
either of these things. Fabulous
Wow. Is she a
Moolah
female
or Romper
wrestler?
Room.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is the old head side
That's
of the table.
yeah.
Right.
That's very
Hold on.
obvious.
Okay, so I want to go
Talking
back to
about,
something.
Charlie
And
Chaplin
then there's the
over
dumb
there.
side of the
Yeah,
table.
definitely dumb side of the room. And
Dude.
if you know which side it is, you're good. If you don't,
Vote in the comments.
Good
Who's
also,
better?
yeah.
Dumb side or old side? Vote in the comments.
They're gonna.
educated side.
Oh, great.
So I want to go back
Wise.
to something that I thought was pretty cool. Being in the industry and seeing this, you know, this is something that that we can certainly appreciate. We want to consider that. We take into consideration everybody that steps into the cage. We're all for them, and we want to see everybody do well. And that night that they, you know, have the cage door closed behind them, we're hoping that they're able to have their A game every single time. So we're always for the fighters. One of the things that I thought was really cool was what we saw on the back of Nick Nash's shorts, and that was Cage Thunder. So, like, we are behind our fighters, and our friends at Cage Thunder, you know, made it known that they're behind their guy also.
It
I
was
thought
cool.
that was really cool.
That is neat.
They were a sponsor for him coming into town.
Did you get clarification if that was a Cage Thunder was sponsoring him for that?
I thought, Luke was with. I met up with Luke last night at after the fights, Luke Payson, and some things that he said did allude to that.
I think I saw a
I mean-
post about that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because he mentioned the owner and that. Yeah. So that's
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool that they're behind him. And yeah, the whole Victory team is awesome. They're great. I think for sure no less. I think more of Nick after that fight. Honestly, I knew he was a great prospect. He didn't surprise me at all. But he got a loss on his record, but not really. It's amateur, man. That's a great. Like I said, it was as close as it gets. Doesn't bother me
Yeah.
one bit. I don't see that as a loss. But yeah, where are we going after that? Where do you
We can
follow?
go
Dude,
anywhere.
who knows? There's so
just
much.
say a good segue and then start talking about something.
A good segue would be to talk about James Padmore's right hand.
No. There we go.
Dude, he's now 3-0 with 3 knockouts. We just said 205 is a pretty thin division. He's now immediately one of the top 205 amateur prospects in Pennsylvania.
And you're only saying right hand because that's what he used. It could have been the left.
Could have been anything.
He's got it in
He
power
has
in both. Yeah.
He has both. But that was that was a nasty knockout. And Adam Caldwell's very good. He's looked very good.
Adam
2-0.
Caldwell's game, his left jab has been on point for our last 2 fights with him, and
He looks really good physically at 205 too. It's a total body transformation, honestly. He looked very good, quicker, healthier, everything about it. He looked good. It's unfortunate, of course, that he got knocked out, but I think 205 is a good spot for him, and I'm excited to see him again there.
I'm just concerned about Padmore's head, how it's doing today.
The headbutting the cage. Him and Chase. What's up?
I mean, so guys, listen. There's like a 1-inch thick pad that covers
Metal.
steel. Stop headbutting the pads. Not
public
smart.
service announcement.
Not advisable at all. But
No.
yes,
Yeah, don't do that.
super good performance. You know, it looked like it had all the makings of an up and down, back and forth affair until, you know, there was some separation and just a big hook and just totally separated him from consciousness.
And that's what you see with those big boys, man. All it takes is one. And it happened to come from James Padmore. Excellent performance.
Yeah, we saw some violence this weekend, man. Some crazy knockouts, some insane submissions. To my knowledge, maybe I'm wrong. Probably am. I usually am. 2 guys got choked unconscious at Bit B17. I don't remember that ever happening on a card. 2 on the same card like that. James Leto put out Manuel Bell very fast, and Edgar Perea put out Colton Musgrove with, I don't even know what that submission was, to be honest. It was like a rear naked choke grip. It started, but then he ended it from like top.
We have
It
to
was
ask,
very weird.
We have to ask Dylan. This is the
I have
Ask
no
Dylan
clue.
segment.
I wasn't there.
They announced it as a rear naked choke, but when you watch it, like Edgar's on top. It started there, but I don't know. I have no idea what it was.
So we'll just
Side
have to
naked
go
Just
with
squeezing you.
we'll let
Maybe.
Dylan
Yeah, I mean,
Cole and Alex Hudick discuss that.
Yeah.
And come up with the official.
Yeah,
Oh,
if
sweet.
anybody
Yeah,
in the
Alex,
comments,
please correct me.
if anybody in the comments saw that,
Jess Elizabeth will be on
Yeah,
here
yeah.
in the next 30
Let us know
seconds
what it
with
was.
some type of diagnosis of that.
it was unique to say the least.
Well, the thing is, we're like
Can she see
30,
the
45
diagnosis?
seconds behind. So, like, give her about 30 seconds and Jess will have it on the...
She needs to record a clip and sing it.
yes, sing the response.
Well, speaking of, we're talking about James Leto and Edgar Perea. Both had some pretty tough tests. Edgar, in particular, coming against Colton Musgrove,
yeah, Colton's very good, man.
who has some bombs for hands. We saw it against both of his opponents with 247, but Edgar Perea, the real deal, came out, immediate control, let his presence be known. This is my fight, and found that finish early.
What a crowd he had. I mean, the cowboy chants, I mean, it was deafening in there, and that's a hard place to be deafening in. As big as the Monroeville Convention Center, as high as those ceilings are, like, and yet those fans brought it. What a great group of like supporters he has.
I took a picture of Edgar and his crew in front of the step and repeat. They all like look,
Wow,
look at this.
That's awesome. That's a
Seems to be a
20-foot
sizable group
step
of
and
folks.
repeat.
I don't know if you guys can see it at all there, but there's like
Yeah, that's
100 people.
20 foot by
No
10
idea.
foot, doesn't fit in a hotel room with 8-foot ceilings.
Ask us how we know.
Ask me and Danny how we know.
That was
Card
annoying
it
for
back
you
and
guys.
forth.
Ask why the face-off photos were in front of a green screen instead of our backdrop.
Yep.
Oops.
Yep.
Oh, well.
Hey, it happens.
Yeah, things happen in MMA.
Well, if you don't know, now you know.
If you don't know, now you know.
As a general observation, this is a goofy thing to even observe or say, but can we talk about the overall quality of that Bit B17 card? And I mean matchups, individual athletes. Like, let's just say it like it is. When you get to regional MMA, amateur regional MMA, you get some guys who are rolling off their couch and just think they want to fight.
The bottom's low. The
bottom
bottom's
is very
low,
low.
on regional MMA.
Yeah. Yes.
In
that-
general.
And that's fine, dude. It's fun. I love fights like that as much as the next guy. But when you look at our lineup from yesterday, super talented guy and super in shape. Like, go look at our weigh-in pictures, dude. These guys look like pro fighters. All like they're ripped, man. Like, I was looking, I'm like, dude, these guys, this looks super legit. Like sometimes you're going through regional and it looks like, me versus you. And it's like, okay, they're just two guys
Let's
that are
hope
gonna,
not.
Yeah.
And Hunter had a great
For your
point
sake.
too. I think you highlighted it on a podcast, or maybe we were just discussing it ourselves. But the overall record of fighters on Bit B17 was something like 55 and 30.
Yeah.
Like
Like a
so
65%
much
win.
experience. So much experience.
The
you
win
know, on that
percentage went
card.
down after this.
It did. It's fit. They get fit. Well, there was a draw.
It regressed to the mean. It regressed to the mean.
Yeah, a little bit. That's funny. The win percentage is always like 50% on a card. It's
So
really
two
weird.
fights I want to talk
Every
about.
single card.
Yeah. Glenn Christner was him and Caprice. That fight, I love that fight.
Me too.
So awesome.
It was So like to me, it was appropriate that it was a draw.
Yeah,
Like,
I
not,
totally agree.
I feel bad for the point deduction, but like that's the best possible outcome. Draw,
For
both
sure.
guys killed
See,
it.
I thought Caprice, other than that, like I thought he clearly won the fight. Other than that point deduction,
I wouldn't say
so that,
clearly.
I'm just saying. My perspective was he clearly won the fight. Outside of that point deduction, should he have had a point deduction? Sure. Like yes, it probably affected the fight. It was a pretty severe knee.
Well, so when you say you thought he clearly won, do you think it was like 30-27, or are you saying like,
No,
oh,
I
so
thought he won
had
2
the
rounds to 1.
29-28, but the
I thought he
point- okay, I see.
clearly won 2 rounds.
So 28-28 is the appropriate scorecard.
Yes.
I think so too. Yeah, I do.
And so all I'm saying is I think that's tough for him to say, like, I felt like I won the fight. I screwed up and got a draw out of it
Sure.
because of that.
I will say we need to have Glenn Christner not fight each other. Glenn Christner and Timbo Slice, pound for pound, most exciting fighters.
Oh,
like
my
every
God.
single fight they're involved in turns
The
into
chins on those two, the
insane.
jaws
Who's
that
ready
they
for that
have.
discussion?
insane, dude. Like I'll watch every fight those guys are ever in.
And not only that,
So since we're talking about Glenn, we got to talk about the chin on Caprice.
Yeah.
Those
Oh my
haymaker uppercuts.
Those dirty
coming-
hockey
that was
fight
crazy,
uppercuts?
Yeah.
how
love
about
it.
Glenn rip into the body with those
Yes.
shovel hooks?
Oh.
Oh man,
Hey.
I couldn't imagine.
Can we speak Glenn Christner versus Manuel Bell into existence?
We-
They want to come. Manuel wants to come back. Glenn's there. 85. Let's run it.
Pretty please.
Well, this is live matchmaking.
I'm starting to make the
matchmaking.
popcorn now.
I like it.
So I think in
Estefania,
general,
if you're listening,
Brawl in the Burgh 17, I think if I could sum it up, I would say that the advanced Amis stole the show.
For sure.
I think that the level, that step up in competition. So we've had cards where we have almost all novice Amis. This was a card where the amateur card was pretty much split in half between novice Amis and advanced Amis. And I think those advanced Amis showed that level,
Yep.
that level jump that comes with experience and maturity as a fighter, and as being coached by the gyms that we work with. That like they stole the show. I think when you take a look at the totality of Landefeld, Fink, Boyd, Ford, Magan Nash, Francisco Wiggins, and Siebert Allgaier, I think that was the heart of the show.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
That being said, to kind of laser focus on one of those, the performance
are
by
you going to say
Chase
of the
Boyd.
night? Okay.
The performance by Chase Boyd. So Chase is primarily Chase is a grappler, right? And so he's generally the guy that's setting strikes up to get the takedown, to work his grappling game. And to see him go out there and dude, part of me is Des does not deserve this.
I know.
He has a miserable he
hates us.
Literally, it just so happened. The guy's very talented. He's very skilled. Things just went bad for him in his 2 fights with us, where it just happened the way it happened. But
Yeah.
that doesn't take away from Chase's performance. Chase's performance was jaw-droppingly impressive. It
Yes.
was so amazing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That is very surprising, and that makes Chase a very dangerous man. If you add knockout power to Chase Boyd's already insane grappling, that becomes a crazy fighter. And the next fight is there for Chase too. He made a specific call out, which we don't see very. He made it on the mic, but he made it to us first. He came over and screamed it at us.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean,
I don't know if Josh is anywhere near like in fighting shape. So I think that's the main issue. Is like,
yeah,
I don't know that Josh is in the position to be at 170.
October 21st is 3 months away. You can do a lot of work in 3 months on your weight.
I'll be at 170.
You know all about
21st.
that, Hunter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Me and
I know
Ryan
all
and
about
Jim,
We
maybe
going-
not so.
We going back to the Fat Factory?
Hell no.
Oh, hell no.
Danny Palm.
Danny said no.
Hell
so-
no.
Oh,
I mean, if it's set, I'm
Ew,
going to
no.
do it because I'm competitive, but
Danny,
my
you did-
vote's no.
You didn't try the first time, dude. Why do you care if we do it again?
Well, so I tried the first time, but I just didn't know what I was doing. Like, I was...
yeah. He's like, guys, I don't
Hang on.
I
Hang
have
on.
all pasta.
Yeah, hang on. Can we please talk about Dylan Cole during the first 2 weeks of the Fat Factory? He's sending pictures of his meals, like doing
trying
good,
to
guys.
impress us. Like,
Yeah.
meanwhile, like we think he's joking. Like,
But he's dead serious. He's eating pasta with little orange and green Lego blocks in
was
it.
the,
yeah, it's
the
hot
instant
water.
ramen.
Like that's
So my thought is, I'm like, oh, this is only a 300-calorie thing. Like, this is fine. I thought I didn't know that like things play a role.
He sent like pot roast and mashed potatoes and gravy one time, and I was like, "What are you doing,
And
bro?"
I was like, that's only 750 calories. Like, I didn't know that.
per bite.
Jim, I will say that was one of the funniest, the hardest I've ever laughed at the text message I received when you put in quotes and you wrote
With your prayer.
Hopefully these orange and green Lego pieces are healthy.
There's little blocks of sodium in there.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. Yeah. Oh my god.
So I
dude.
didn't lose any weight.
Needless
From
to
that.
say,
From
I
that.
gained weight. Yeah. We got to talk about Miguel and Jake. We did talk about it a little bit in terms of Jake stepping in and putting on a great performance, but we can't say enough what a prospect Miguel still is, but especially leading into that bout, everybody thought, like we said it, Miguel was a favorite in that fight, I think. And among locally, of course, people think very highly of Miguel and his skills, his all-around skill set, and Jake just took it to him, man. Clipped him early and just finished the deal.
so there was something at some point. There was something that Calvin said that I like said, oh, like the I don't remember what it was. Like as we were putting this bout together, Calvin said, "I'm telling you right now, like this dude, like something to that effect."
yeah.
And that's what made me say, no, this
Okay.
is going to be a
Yeah.
like I trusted Calvin's assessment of his own guy to like know that this was going to be a war.
And Jake's got hammer hands, dude, because his wins were by knockout leading into that. We knew that was the threat for Miguel, and sure enough, he caught him. And I know an interesting element to this was that the weight cut to 35 was not easy for Miguel.
But then he was a whole pound over a pound under.
Yeah, he overcut. I don't know. I'm not going to speak for him, but I will be surprised if he's at 35 again. But they're going to have to go back to the lab and figure it out because I just heard some rumblings that
It was rough.
Wasn't
I
great.
agree, and I think we kind of saw that in the cage because Miguel previously fought for us, I believe, at 140, and then prior to that, 145. So this cut to 35, some people were saying it affected his chin. I really think it affected his cardio. I think, I mean, obviously it was a very fast-paced bout, but you know, Miguel
I didn't think it was
really,
long enough for that to be a factor.
Yeah,
like
Miguel
the
was
fu-
gassed early, and I think it opened
I
him
think
up
he
to
was just
getting
hurt.
hit.
I think he was hurt.
I think he
to be
got hurt
honest.
early. I think he
Yeah.
got clipped.
Yeah, so obviously the Miguel Francisco that we saw last night was not peak Miguel. And, you know,
No, listen, guys. No. I don't accept
well, I don't want
that.
to make an excuse for
Jake
him, of
Wiggins
course.
came out there and beat Miguel. Like,
Hands down. No
hands,
doubt.
like, applause. Like, that was awesome. You came into enemy territory against a popular guy, and you took it to him, and it was, like, a great performance.
Absolutely.
Nothing less than
I
that.
mean, nothing to diminish Jake Wiggins' excellent performance.
And
He
I don't
looked
even know if he goes by
tremendous.
Jake. Jacob, I mean, I've only seen
I've been
Jacob.
calling him Jake, and I'm sorry.
Okay.
If so. Oh wait, his Instagram is Jake Wiggins
Okay,
MMA,
we're
so
safe.
we're good.
We're safe, yeah.
good.
Either way, yeah.
But yeah, that was an insane performance for Jake, and like we said earlier, I don't know, like Siebert versus Jake makes a lot of sense for
Just
the
waiting
belt.
on the reply.
Makes a whole lot of sense. So
Come
we'll
on,
see
Calvin.
about that.
Let
See
us
where we
know.
go
Yeah,
with that.
Pittsburgh is in.
Main event. How are we going to? Both events we talked like way more about everything besides the main event.
Well, no, we're leading up
We're
to
just
that.
getting there.
We're heading in that direction. We talked about Boyd and we talked about Magan and we talked about Francisco. Now we're going to talk about Siebert and Allgaier.
We talked about that at the very
opened
beginning.
We touched on it.
Yeah. You want to touch on it more?
I
And
mean,
then
I
talk
think
about
we,
the fight.
you're so sensual. I mean, I think we covered it like, yeah. I mean, I think Lucas is sky's the limit, man. Sky's the limit.
I haven't heard anything from their team, but I can't. And this is it's exactly the Jake Wiggins Miguel discussion. Lucas was on another level. We all agree Lucas leveled up last night. It was insane.
He just needs confidence. That's
Yeah,
that kid lacks that.
if only he had confidence. I do wonder if the year and a half off affected Cam. Was he as good, as sharp as Cam should have been? I'm not sure.
I think it's real. I
Yeah.
think it's like I don't think he was at his best. You're not going to be at your best if you don't fight for a year and a half. But like that's what you signed up for.
Yeah, it's also
It was at
extreme.
145 also.
Yeah, true. It's extremely possible Lucas just made him look not at his best too. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
that's
so
exactly
I get
all of
shamed
that.
for
Yeah.
talking about things that Miguel, and then you're like, oh, it wasn't the best game. Like, there's these things.
No, there's legitimately like ring rust is real. Is that an excuse? No, that's what you signed up for. Like, but ultimately, like, do I think he performs better than that if he doesn't? If he's not on a year and a half layoff? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Especially for Lucas, who, you know, his primary game is wrestling, like D1 level wrestler. To go out there and win with the hands and look as comfortable as he did on the feet is special. We have a highly talented prospect in our hands. And honestly, you know, I think coming out of this weekend, he might be the talk of the town as far as performance goes. Like that, this is the performance that's sticking with me from both nights among a sea of incredible action.
Yeah.
Lucas is in my brain.
He's been working on his hands for a year.
Yeah.
Just
Crazy.
imagine.
He debuted with us last July 9th, like a year and a week to the day. It was the fight last night. Crazy.
And so one of the things that was super smart about him, and I hope that other amateurs in that situation picked up on this and kept it in the back of their minds, is he talked about the rules in PA until you get to advanced, how he's going to work within those, and he was going to work on his striking. You know, if that's what the rules are trying to gear you towards and steer you towards, you know, because if that bout goes to the ground, you know, it's going to be there for 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. That round's over. The next round starts. If it happens again, it's going to be on the ground for 2 minutes. Again, you can't do ground and pound. So that's why they want you, you know, within 3 fights or less, work, you know, you get a chance to focus on your striking.
For sure.
And then look at what we saw last night.
Super smart. Yeah, that was the culmination, I think, is the word he
And
used as
he
well.
said that, yeah.
It's perfect. That's perfect word for it. You just saw it all come together last night. Really special moment for sure.
If you go back and you watch Lucas's first fight for us at Brawl in the Burgh 12, he took on Andy Sutu, and the development in his hands, like obviously Siebert got a knockout win that night, but the level of comfort, like staying back, picking apart on his feet, is incredible development for 1 year.
He just
Especially
seems
against
so
Cam.
comfortable. He seems like this is what he was meant to do, and he moves like he's a natural. I just think that, like, I'll be the first to say, like, I doubted, just mainly not because I didn't think the talent was there. I doubted because I didn't see the experience, and I knew that it's different to spar with someone than it is to get in there and really have someone that's trying to kill you. And so when you have that when you haven't had that, where it's like the high elite level, I was expecting him to face things for the first time that he'd never felt before, and that's where I say, like, that's where my doubt was. Not the talent, but just the experience, and pass with flying colors.
People in all professions, but it's especially obvious in athletics. Some guys just rise to the occasion, man. The brighter the lights get, the better they get, and that's Lucas Siebert from everything we've seen. So
I could not agree with you more. He has stepped up every single time. He loves the shine, and he he thrives in it.
Perfect walkout song for that too. Lupe Fiasco Superstar. I don't know if you guys know that song, but go listen to the lyrics. That's literally what the song's about. So pretty.
One thing I love he said
cool.
too, he talks about, put on a show and then find the camera. Like, understand your moment and embrace it. Build off of it. Don't use it as a way to build higher off of what you've done. And I think he kind of embodies that spirit altogether.
The main event. People were clamoring for us to talk about the main event.
So, yeah, that was. I think we all said this at some point last night after that fight. For me, anyways, that was the best that I have seen Justin Patton look. I thought he looked so good. And
Zimik's face thought his hands looked good
Yeah.
too, man. Zimik was beat up after that fight, for sure.
yeah, Justin was moving fast, there was a lot of leg work. I just thought that it was a smart game plan too. And it, goes to show you, like, you got somebody standing across from you who was matching you step for step.
Yeah.
And there are like hairline differences between winning and losing at that level.
Yep, absolutely, man. We knew going in. We watched a lot of Zimik tape. We knew what Zimik was about, and we knew that Justin had a tough fight on his hands, and that's exactly what we saw. But to your point, I couldn't agree more, man. Patton looked phenomenal, and I was very happy to see his hands and his stand-up a lot more than we have in the past. There were a few exchanges on the feet that were really fun. Like, they were getting after it, dude. They were just throwing straight up heat. And Patton was telling me afterwards, he's like, I kept hitting him and seeing his neck turn, and I was like, can you please just fall, bro? Why aren't you falling? Like, I'm hitting you hard and you're not falling. Like, dude, that's at Wisconsin. They're built different. The farm boys are built different, man. But Zimik weathered the storm, kept crazy top pressure once he had it, and then obviously finished the fight with a guillotine. That's a great win for him. 2-0 now as a pro, LFA, and now came into Pittsburgh and beat Patton for us. The sky's the limit for that dude. That's a guy I'm definitely following his career.
When I was sitting next to Ryan, there was a moment in that second round where Zimik had Patton's back, and he was, hunting, really looking for a choke. And I leaned over Patton got up, he got out of it, and he escaped. And I leaned over and I said, Patton was in that spot last year against Devin Lozay, and he ended up giving up that choke. And to see the way Patton's developed his heart, his cardio, his game to escape and get out of that itself was like one of the big moments of the fight for me, to see Patton rise to the occasion in that way and escape. The sky's the limit for him as well.
Yeah, and just to kind of add to that, I would stop short of calling, that a good comeback win for Zimik. Like, I don't think it was a comeback, but he was definitely behind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's the type of fight that takes Zimik, like, he levels up big time from a fight like that, because I think this is a sport where your self-doubt can destroy you.
Yeah.
And when and this is part of the, when that you're never out of a fight, and you have that confidence that even if someone has you and it seems like you can't win, that you can find a way to win, and you keep searching for that, and you keep, like, you go that next level. I think that this is huge for him to be able to stay confident and know that there's going to be times in that cage where I'm losing and I'm not out. And that's something that you have to face. You have to have a fight like that before you start to develop that confidence, and that's huge for him.
Absolutely. Jim, what did you think about that?
It's Jimothy.
Excuse me.
Staying on that, like what you were talking about in that first round, saying that wasn't a comeback win. The first 2 minutes of the first round was all Justin. and like in fairly dominant fashion, or at least he controlled it 100%. And then like the next minute was Zimic, and then the final 2 minutes of that first round, it went back and forth. And Justin, at the end of the round, he gained the advantage, and I forget what the move was, but I think he ended up on top, or he reversed something and ended up on top. And I was talking with somebody after that fight, somebody that like one of the I don't know, can you say this? I'm going to say it anyways.
Say it.
One of the judges was talking to me, and they were saying they loved that fight, and it's so important to stay. Like you have to wait until the end of that 5 minutes, because there's so many things, so many little differences with what one fighter does versus the other. And that first round was, they told me that like that is. They love seeing that because it's fun for the fans watching. It's probably going back and forth fun for the fighters. They'd rather dominate, but that first round, going to what you were saying, Ryan, is proof that like you're never out of it until the fight's over. And Kyle pushed through and was impressive.
I will say on the judges' front, I'm sure they're very glad that Kyle submitted him at the end, because that was going to be an interesting scorecard.
Yeah. Well, that's how the conversation started.
Yeah. Because, and think about all night.
What round was that?
Three.
Three. Was the
Yeah,
third?
it was 3. So all night, the Christner decision was tough. The Nash-Magan decision was very tough. And if that would have gone to a decision, that would have been, the judges had to be on their A game last night for sure. Those were some very competitive decisions.
Yeah.
So we, what did we say right before that? There was something else I don't know. I forget. I need more coffee.
We're talking about
coffee.
Justin Patton versus Kyle Zimic.
Who? Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it was unfortunate for Pittsburgh with Isaac losing and Justin losing. They bring giant crowds. It's always interesting for me to see the way the energy can get sucked out of a place.
Oh, the
man.
energy got sucked out both nights.
When Patton tapped out, it was just like silence, and everybody started leaving.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean that's the game, man. They all know. And I'll say, like, Justin he was upset. I'm not saying he was in great spirits, but he was handling the loss extremely well. Everything he was telling me, like, no skin off his back. He's gonna get better. And that's all he ever does every time he loses,
Dude,
so I already know that anyway.
He has impressed me so much with, Justin. His evolution has been incredible. He's gone from, a fighter, like a scrapper, like a scrappy kid who gets in the cage, to becoming he's so technical, and he's so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really impressive, even in a loss, to watch someone and his game develop so nicely. It's really encouraging. Like, it's encouraging. One of the things that I think about a lot is how lucky we are here in Pittsburgh that we have the most underrated coaching and gyms. It's so high level, and we're very fortunate, and I just think we're starting to see all those things come to place as we do this longer, and more people come and more opportunities come for fighters and for the gyms. I just think it's sky's the limit for the gyms as well as the future of the organization.
You're starting to say it, and I'll take it a step further with something a little more bold, is that it's not going to be underrated for much longer. I think people are starting to notice when you get guys like PJ and Dante in there and their teams in there that get to feel it and experience it, and they're like, damn, like Pittsburgh's doing this thing right now. The more we do stuff like that, man, it's not going to be underrated for long.
I would love to hear what Gray Maynard thinks about the Mat Factory. Like, he got to experience the Mat Factory this morning. Like, that'd be nice to know.
I didn't get to hear it yet, but Gray did commentary for those 2 bouts, and I guess he was saying really good things as well. So that's awesome, man. Gray was so good to work with.
Yeah.
I talked to him last night during the show, and he was saying like how great we were and how everything was awesome.
Yeah,
sweet.
Danny just mentioned
That's
that,
sweet.
that he talked to Gray, and Gray was mentioning how great the show was and whatnot. And I got the same feedback from him as well as. I mean, we got to talk to those guys a good bit, and really like. So a lot of the times, I'm digging at those guys. Like, hey, like what can we like? What are things that other people are doing that like make it like add to it? Like and I didn't really get much of that back, although we're gonna like work on things and perfect our craft as you know, they're looking to perfect theirs. We're also looking to do that with ours. But
We have a list.
the feedback has been great. Like, we appreciate that, and we're also like, you can privately message us and make suggestions, or you know, if you guys did this, I think it would be helpful. Like, we're all up for suggestions, and like, listen, if someone says like the TV went out, like, of course like things like that are gonna happen. Like, we can't be perfect. Like, we don't always know why those things happen during a show, and we can't always fix them on the spot. We're not the UFC. We're not like this big organization, but we're constant, like, we're fixing it for the next time. We're trying to make sure it doesn't happen the next time. And that TV didn't go out the second show, did it?
I don't think.
Okay.
No, I think it was good.
Definitely, please give us more feedback about how the 247 judges are like, our judges are the worst. Like that, we greatly appreciate that.
Well,
gonna
we're
work
not.
on
I
that.
think that we're not paying them enough to throw the fights.
Yeah.
For the fighters we choose.
No,
troll.
so
You troll,
just
Dylan
so
Cole.
you're aware, I don't know if we described this in detail when we originally talked about this, but the Pennsylvania, as far as MMA goes, the Pennsylvania's Athletic Commission controls all of that. They control the judges, the referees. We don't get to pick. We don't like so.
And if we don't like the judges, we don't have the power to be like, get us a different judge either. Like, it's not something that is up for debate.
We can make requests.
Sure.
Like, if a judge is horrible, we can say, can you not have that judge on our card? Will they honor it? Maybe, maybe not. Like, we don't know, but we can make requests, but that's as far as it goes.
And for the record, I always go as far to say is I don't think that there were any egregious decisions. There's things you could nitpick and disagree with, but at the end of the day, I think they did their job just fine.
So, you know, that's one of the reasons why I brought up the conversation I had with one of the judges last night after the event was over, is that, you know, they sit at 3 different positions, and as the night is going on, they're also moving to different spots when they are supposed to be judging those different bouts. Mm-hmm. And there's other judges that rotate in, so they're not sitting there for the whole night. But
there's either 3 or 4 judges. So, like, there'll be 3 in any given bout, and then there might be a 4th to, like, give the judges, like, a judge a break here
Yeah.
and there. Other than the intermission.
But I want to tie in something that Mike Wilkins said a while back, and it was when he would be coaching somebody, he said, like, they might be calling something out, and it looks like that's what you need to do from his viewpoint, the way that he sees it with his fighter in the cage and what's happening with his opponent. But he said, like, maybe on the other side,
You'd be saying something totally different.
yeah. He said, so, like, to say that, so to wrap this all up and tie it all together.
Thank you.
I would not want to be a judge. There's so much scrutiny with
We're
what
a
they
ref.
do. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's we appreciate what they do. That we don't pick them. We respect them. We're friends with most of them. But it's not something that I don't ever have any desire.
For sure.
Don't
To
envy
go out.
that position.
No.
No. Kevin James on Facebook, our dude from down Johnstown, heard nothing but great things about this weekend. And then he said, as far as feedback, he would like something like a Meet the Fighters event, kind of like a meet and greet.
Shout
Or-
out to the King of Queens, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't. What am I'm missing something.
Kevin James.
Man. Come on.
Dude, Dylan.
That was a waste of time.
You have to be on it. You can't say it's Sunday. I'm a little slow.
I am. Well, that's every day. 100 free posters autographed by the main card. We do autographed posters for the fighters, but doing it for like the first 50 people who buy tickets get an autographed poster.
Well, I'll tell you, it's hard to get fighters to autograph
It is.
16 posters.
It
Let's-
is.
And
let's
let's
not
try
make him do
100.
60. Let's not
And
make
let's
him
do it
60.
for free. Let's give out more free stuff.
But Kevin's best comment on Facebook is Ryan getting more gray hairs? Probably is in this business.
Definitely from this business, no doubt about it.
No doubt.
I think Kevin wants us to come back to Johnstown.
He's hitting me up about Johnstown, and we let's say like it is. The last event in Johnstown did not go well. We need a.
I mean, the event went great.
Yeah.
Actually, it was some
Fine
of our
event.
best
Yeah.
best fights we've ever had.
The 7 fights that happened were great.
Yeah.
But, you know,
It was a
there's-
rough night for a promotion.
there's so many things that go into factor about, you know, selling tickets and, you know, getting people in the building, and the formula just didn't work that night. So obviously we're always looking to improve on that side of things. And, I'd like to say I'd love to go to Johnstown and kill it and have a wonderful show.
That venue's sick.
Love the venue. I love the
venue.
area.
Yeah. We're forgetting something very important.
Tell
This
us.
isn't going to be the official declaration, but we can cast our votes. Strip District Meats Meat Bucks are back. Brad from Strip District Meats dropped off the gift cards with me at the event. We're going to have a discussion with Brad to figure out who gets them. We're going to have a fan vote again online, just like last time, and a podcast to live announce who gets them.
Oh,
But we make our votes now. So the way this works, if you guys missed it last event, Strip District Meats, best butcher shop in Pittsburgh. If you guys haven't been there, and I said that before they sponsored us, so I promise it's not just because they sponsor us. Go there, check it out.
It's awesome.
It's freaking awesome. They, Brad.
they're open today.
They are. Until 3, I want to say. Brad, the GM there, is a huge MMA fan, grappling fan. He trains at Indio. He's very invested in the local MMA community. And he sponsors us, and he decided that for every event that he sponsors, they are also putting up a gift card that we're calling the Meat Bucks for the most impressive performance of the night. So at our last event, Cody Matthews got it with the ridiculous knockout of Victor Lapari, and James Lito got a second gift card for $100. Cody Matthews was $200. A second one because of Lito's performance against Ken Burrs. Brad was just so impressed. He's like, Lito deserves something. But Meat Bucks are back for this one. Who had the most impressive performance? Who deserves the Meat Bucks from BitB 17? This is tough. This is so tough.
So
I have
how do
mine.
we bring somebody back in from Wisconsin to pick out their
Somebody in
items?
Wisconsin would appreciate good beef too.
Let's
I
just
think.
send meat to Wisconsin in a mail box. How does a package? I don't know.
Dry ice. Yeah, I mean you can ship meat for sure. So we're gonna post on our Instagram at 247 Fighting Championships. Tag Strip District Meats. So keep an eye on our Instagram for the official voting post because we're going to collect fan votes just like we did last time. Vote for who you guys think when that comes up. Going to discuss with Brad, announce on a live podcast. But I'm going to toss it to Ryan because he's made up his mind already.
Yeah, I mean, I Lucas Siebert. When you talk about most impressive performance, he beat a complete animal stud, and he did it in fairly convincing fashion, and it just, I thought he was so impressive. It was unbelievable. My vote is Lucas Siebert.
I couldn't agree more. I hate to follow Ryan in this category, but
I would not follow him either.
Lucas
Yeah.
Siebert showed up. We've
Especially
already
after
talked.
garlic.
We've talked so extensively. We've talked so extensively already about how monumental and really special his performance was. We got to be careful though. I mean, we give Siebert too much meat, he's gonna be fighting 170. You know, maybe
No, that's
maybe
the
we'll
thing.
give him like
It's
a
meat,
$75
like,
gift
don't
card.
give him a pasta gift card. Like that's how you.
A pot roast and ramen gift card.
Strip District lasagna.
Green and orange Lego blocks.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
For what it's worth, my vote, Lucas Siebert.
Jimothy.
Jake Wiggins.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean,
No
it's-
doubt.
like the relentlessness and the speed that we saw coming from him.
He was nasty.
It was to me that was the performance of the night.
one thing I want to add to that is,
And so that's to go along with like 3 others that I could rattle off and say this
Easy.
is.
It's
But that's-
tough. This is a tough pick.
Yeah.
one thing I want to add to that is like, I think like when it was happening live, I said this doesn't look like Miguel, but then when I watched it again, he clipped Miguel
Yeah,
early on,
absolutely.
and caused that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so like that's part of my hesitancy, but that's a great pick as well.
And none of these are wrong.
Yeah,
Like-
well, yours are, but
I'm right. I'm wrong for sitting here. I should be sitting over there, too close
Yeah.
to you.
Shout out Buck Mooney.
you just got
From the
cooties.
cool side.
Got bucked.
I had garlic last night.
Thanks for the backup, Danny. I appreciate that.
Danny, who you got?
Siebert.
He picked Siebert.
I mean, you got. Yeah, sorry, I forgot you didn't have a mic today. Siebert. You guys saw me on the UFC 290 watch party. I will pick somebody else just for fun, but I'm not gonna right now. It's Siebert for me too. I can't deny that, like, running down this card, that was the fight I told everybody I'm most excited for that fight because it's insanely high level. There's a lot to be revealed. There's a lot of question marks around Siebert. Answered all of them better than anybody could have imagined. I don't see how you go any other way, but I can because James Padmore, what he did, James Leto, what he did, could easily go
that's
stuck up
the
again.
thing.
Yeah.
So
a lot of great performances.
here it is.
You get me,
This
and
is,
you get me.
This settles it. Jake Wiggins, Calvin Harbaugh, I know you're listening. So October 21st will be battle for the Meat Bucks.
Double
at
or nothing.
135, yeah.
Double up them bucks,
Double or nothing. Just push them there. Dude, that would be sick.
and that could be champ status for
Yeah.
Lucas.
And kind of champ status for Jake, even though it wouldn't be. You would kind of feel like I beat the 145
Yeah.
too.
So then he comes back in December and he goes for the 145 belt.
I think Jake has fought at 145, so they could kind of pick the weight they want to do it at. Maybe I don't know.
And just to kind of put some extra, incentive behind that, those will be with the new belts.
Yeah,
Wait,
new belt.
there's new belts.
Man.
Ryan, tell me
Soon.
more.
Soon.
Where do you get this guy?
I don't know.
Did he find
I sent an email.
He
in,
literally
like a year
sent
ago.
an email and then fell
and then
asleep.
lied to us?
And then fell asleep through his interview.
Oh, yeah, I
and
missed
didn't
the
show
interview.
up. It's fine.
Dude, that's so not surprising at all.
And they're like,
Those new
come on
belts
over.
are sick.
The new belts are sick. I'm very excited for everybody to see them. For sure.
Yes, so we're super stoked. These will be for the new belts. There's a whole new design. They're absolutely stunning, and I think
You better be in shape to have one strapped to you.
those are only going to be revealed at the show. We're not even going to show it.
Yep. Somebody's
So-
gonna win it, and you're gonna see it and be like, "Damn."
You're going to be like, what? And then they're going to weigh like 40 pounds more.
If a flyweight wins it, he might be like dragging.
He
it out.
doubles his weight.
yeah.
But yeah,
Who would win? Like Jake Wiggins or someone who weighs 185? Like Jake Wiggins with the belt on versus a guy 185.
He would
Like,
be near 185.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
very close. Middleweight Wiggins.
we've been at it for over 2
is
hours.
crazy.
Well, 2 hours now. So, any parting shots, folks?
I can't think of anything, man. We covered so. My brain is still scrambled eggs. Is all I'm gonna say. 2 fight weeks. I felt it. That was different. That was a different level of work and energy and focus and everything. But we did it, and I'm very proud of us. And like I said, we have a huge list of things to improve on as well. It's what we do at 247. We don't just pat ourselves on the back. We get to work and improve. So I'm excited for you guys to see the next one.
We are so thankful for all of you that showed up, that watched the pay-per-view, that came, that participated. We have a staff that works their butt off to make these shows happen. We're so appreciative of them. We have friends and family, my son and his friends. Like there's so much that goes on to make these happen, and we're so appreciative of all of the crew and the participants and fans and sponsors. Like we are so blessed to be able to make all this stuff happen. We thank you all, and we love you. And it's not stopping anytime soon.
Oh yeah,
It's only going to ramp up.
it's heating up. Thank you guys for everything. As Ryan said, it was a crazy weekend, a crazy celebration for everybody and all the hard work, and can't wait to see where we go from here. Let's get it.
Out.